boom, and we're moving. We're moving, gentlemen.
All right.
Good to see you.
Moving.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I'm a gigantic fan.
We're fans
You already
of yours.
know that, but now I get to tell you in person.
I'm a big fan of yours, man.
Well, thanks.
You've become my. We were just saying on the way here. You've become my my late night television. I don't watch like Jimmy Fallon or anything. I put on your podcast on YouTube. I just watch it.
Just blew his fucking mind. Look at it.
Thank you.
But you're also like my also like my Oprah, and I was thinking like you need a whole cast. You need like a Gayle King and
I do.
I'm willing to be your Dr. Phil.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need a science advisor. I definitely need a real on-staff scientist to check things.
Like Dr. Oz?
No, he's not real.
And that's what I'm saying. You need the.
No, I need a real one.
Okay.
Like Dr. Oz, he got in trouble for selling horse shit, right? Didn't he get brought in front of Congress?
I assumed all these people were kind of unqualified for their.
Well, Dr. Phil's actually a really good guy.
Yeah.
He's actually a real good guy.
I like one of those TV judge bailiff cops that stands in front of the judge. Just got arrested for murder.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's my favorite of all the kind of reality shows. It's like the Judge Judy bailiff character. Like the guy's like, "That's right, Judge.
That's right, judge."
You have."
Do you think he's
Amazing.
like a DEA agent that eventually wants to try coke?
What, the bailiff?
Yeah, like you just around. I mean, he's probably a real bailiff, right? So he's probably around so many goddamn criminals.
Man, I don't think that they're real bailiffs. I haven't got that.
He's a fake bailiff.
I just assumed it's Hollywood, man. I don't know.
True.
It
Why
looked
wouldn't
like
you
the
just-
same outfit from
It's
Night
not
Court.
a complicated gig. You could just hire an actual cop. And that way you're doubly protected. You have a real cop that's standing there.
Yeah, really doing it.
Really
Well,
doing it. And then I'm sure they can do that gig. Just find a guy who's nice.
I think that's a much higher paying gig than a cop.
Yeah.
And
So
with
give
with,
a cop a break.
well, with that type of money comes corruption, and
That's true. That's right. That's where it gets ugly. All the other cops get mad at him. They set him up.
yeah, they plant a gun on him.
Plant some
Maybe that's
drugs.
what happened to this dude.
Put some meth
This
in
guy
his
you're
food.
talking about.
Set up.
This dude got set up.
Could've
All
got
the
set
cops
up
are like,
for
this
murder.
motherfucker got $150,000 a year job. Put the fucking gun on him.
Have you guys been paying attention to OJ on Twitter?
No.
No, man.
What's he doing?
It's one of the strangest things ever. He's just talking on Twitter. Just talk about like football and politics. And the comments are just the most ridiculous shit. Everything you would expect. I'm sure you can't read them. The comments are just filled with just murder jokes.
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, no, not his comments.
His comments, like under his
Right,
thing.
his
He
comment.
says his thing. Then under his
Is this
all
all-
the
yeah.
people that comment on his post, it's all just murder jokes.
As long as he's not making murder jokes, I guess.
My friend has the largest O.J. Simpson T-shirt collection of like the free O.J. Juices Loose in the world, and he had an exhibit here in L.A. a year ago at a museum, like 150 shirts. Pretty amazing. But you know who I like to follow on Twitter, which we were talking about it earlier. I don't really look at Twitter that much, but I do like Jose Canseco a lot on
Do
Twitter.
you?
Yeah.
What does he talk about?
It's just like crazy. It's just extra crazy, and he was offering like for $2,000 you could go like spend the night in a tent with him and like look for Bigfoot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It started with him when he shot his finger off, and then it fell off. He was tweeting about that. That's what piqued my interest.
When I was 19 years old, I worked at a place called the Boston Athletic Club, and Jose Canseco and some other baseball players walked in. It's amazing how big he was. He was huge, like a huge person.
Huge.
Like a just gigantic man. It's so handsome.
Looked like a professional wrestler.
Looked like a fake person.
Yeah.
It really didn't even look like a real person. Just a giant, handsome super athlete. Came in to lift weights. I'm like, how fucking weird. Like
He's one of only 4 people I think that has 40 home runs and 40 steals
Jesus.
in a season. I mean, he was on steroids, I think.
Oh, he's looking for Bigfoot. He really is. He said, I am a Bigfoot expert, and the most famous Bigfoot picture or video ever taken was a costume. The individual wearing the costume was none other than Andre the Giant. Check it out. I don't think that's true. I think that's pre-Andre the Giant's career, in fact. That picture was from the 60s. That's the Patterson-Gimlin footage.
Well, the Giant was alive then.
Are you saying Jose Canseco doesn't know what he's talking about?
I'm going to go out on a limb. He's incorrect here.
Have you seen what Andre the Giant could drink in an average night?
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we had Jake the Snake on. Jake the Snake used to drive him, and he had amazing stories about driving Andre Ray and how
Snake was
fucked
your
up.
designated
Yeah.
driver.
He would drink like 24, literally 24 beers in like a half hour.
Well, the way his hands were so enormous that the beer, they didn't even look real. They looked like mini bar beers. You know, his hand just covers everything. He was so huge. But when I saw a guy like Jose Canseco, I'm like, well, there's no fairness in this world. There's no fairness. How are me and that guy the same species? There's no fairness in this world.
Well, good.
Interesting.
You learned early.
Yeah, it's a good lesson to learn. It's a good lesson.
Yeah, it's like the first time you really get dunked on pretty
Yes,
hard.
you need to know. That can happen to you too, bitch.
You know, I think it's important to kind of be reminded of like your position in society, in the world. When I was 10 or 11, I was listening to I was getting driven home from a Little League game by my dad, who's one of the sweetest guys ever, right? And we're listening to the Indians game, and this new shortstop, who at the time was terrible, named Jay Bell, like dropped the ball. And I was like, Dad, I bet you I'm a better shortstop than Jay Bell. And my dad stopped the car. And I was like, Patrick, I love you so much, but you're 11, and there's no possible way you're better. There's only like 50 professional shortstops, and there's no way. And then that's it. I just was like, oh my God. But I realized at that moment, I was like, man, my dad's never going to bullshit me. That's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, you don't need to be bullshitted.
That's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of kids today. Like, they've been bullshitted their whole life. They're like, oh yeah, you're the best.
You're the best, son. You are better than him.
Like,
you just need to go and take that job. Yeah. It's yours. Well, there's a lot of wacky people too that are living through their kids. You know, they're like all their expectations of success have now been turned on their progeny.
Oh yeah.
You know, they have this thing. They just want their kids to kick ass and go out there and fucking kick ass.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like, ooh, slow down.
Yeah.
It's hard. Fine line.
Yeah. How do we get? Jose Canseco's Twitter. It's crazy, huh?
It's crazy.
It's a wild dude.
Wild man. I mean, it's cool that a guy that. I mean, his life story is incredible. If you haven't had him on, I'm guessing that
No.
you should have him on.
Oh my God, that would be great. Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
Have him just tell exclusively Bash Brothers stories.
People are always going to be mad at him forever because of the steroids thing, right? Because he told on those other guys that were doing it.
His other Bash brother was found out, right? Mark McGuire. I don't know, man. I don't know much about the I mean, I know the difference between doping and steroids or whatever, but I kind of feel like if you're, I don't know about steroids necessarily, but if you're riding a bike across France and like, I don't know, I just feel like you could dope a little bit. I'm not doing it. Someone needs to do it.
Well, doctors have actually said it's probably physically safer to take the steroids if you're going to do something like Tour de France, because it's so insanely grueling on your body that you want to be able to recover. But we have this weird thing. It's like there's a thing that makes your body work better, but you're not supposed to take it. If you take it, we get mad at you. But we want you to do good. We want you to do your best. But we don't want you to take this thing. You could drink yourself to death.
Oh, yeah.
We're never going to stop that. But we don't want you taking steroids because then you'd be too big and you hit too many balls. Like, what? How come we can't do whatever the fuck you want?
Everybody or nobody.
Yeah. It's the cheating thing. The thing is it affects kids. That's where it gets dangerous, is because if you find out, oh my God, these guys just openly do steroids and they tell you what they do.
Yeah, then middle schoolers will be doing it.
Yes.
That's
the real fear. The real fear.
Because that would happen, because there's middle schoolers that are professionally like competitive.
Sure.
All over this country.
Kids in high school do steroids.
Yeah.
I mean, also you do a bunch. I know somebody that did a bunch of steroids, and he was describing to me the process of that he literally was doing it. He wanted to get big, you know. And I was like, so what do you do? What do you do when you're big? He's like, yeah, well, you got to start taking these estrogen blockers and
yikes,
all this stuff. I was like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, if you don't take, your body stops making testosterone. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, well, this is probably a controversial statement, but I was like, well, Bruce Jenner said that he did steroids for breakfast. I mean, you think that depleted his testosterone production?
They don't. I don't think they believe that there's a connection between gender identity and testosterone levels. I think they think it's a wiring issue, for lack of a better term. But there is always a thing that happens to people if you take steroids, that your body has this inability to make its natural hormones, and so you get depressed. There's like a depression time, and it can be really funky for a lot of athletes.
Is that where like Jose Canseco's out there looking for Bigfoot? Is it because he just needs to clear his head?
Could be. He also had some MMA fights. He might have got his brains knocked loose. Like he had one MMA fight against this fucking big giant dude. What was his name?
Yeah, that was early MMA.
No, it was after his whole career thing had gone. He got it. He had a fight with was it Hong Man Choi? It was Hong Man Choi. Hong Man Choi is huge. So him just to accept this fight is crazy.
Let me
We're talking
see what
about
that
a guy
looks
that's like, yeah. Hong Man Choi is like literally 7 feet tall. And Jose Canseco's an enormous guy.
I recognize him from movies.
He's not enormous compared to Hong Man Choi. And Hong Man Choi was a professional MMA fighter. He fought some really, really tough guys in Japan. So it was a total, complete mismatch. But he needed the cheddar, so he stepped in.
You know what that looks like?
Look at the size of Choi, bro.
That looks like when you have like a real G.I. Joe guy and then like the generic G.I. Joe guy.
It looks like he fucking found Bigfoot.
And even though like Canseco is still a fucking gorilla, I mean, he's a stout man, super powerful, gigantic man. But that just shows you how big Hong Man Choi is.
Did he get?
He got pummeled.
He got pummeled.
I think he blew his knee out, if I remember correctly. I think he threw a kick. And he blew his knee out, and then Hong Man Choi pounded him into
Danny
oblivion.
Bonaducci too.
Yeah, it just. Oh no, did he really?
I just saw a picture of them standing together in the ring.
Oh my God, he's so much bigger than Danny Bonaducci. He's a really huge guy.
Right there. Is that there?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he did. Danny Bonaducci's crazy. Jesus.
Well, his head looks like it's been photoshopped on.
But wait a minute, wasn't that Canseco's brother? Wasn't that his brother posing as him?
Super tatted up.
Oh my God!
No, he's not though.
I know this guy is though.
Yeah, but I mean, no, he's not even. It's one of those. That's one of those shirts
jacket,
that you put on. It's like a rash guard, but it's got tattoos on it, and it looks like you're tattooed up.
I wish our brothers would start posing as us.
Yeah.
I don't think that was Canseco. I think it was Canseco's brother. I think it was
Like,
found out later.
Is it like how Gallagher has Gallagher's brother?
Yes, Gallagher. We were talking about that Gallagher too. Look at that guy. That's not Canseco.
They don't even mention his name isn't mentioned in the
That
article.
was like
so.
Danny Aiello.
I mean, he's still a big giant dude too. I mean,
Like the only way
very
the only way the story could get published is with that resolution of photo, like 8 pixels.
But
Dude, isn't that crazy? I don't know if you look at Facebook or if you have it, but I do have it. I keep up with my high school friends and my parents' friends and stuff, and the amount of stuff I see retweeted or reposted from the left and the right is just so crazy, man. These weird fake websites with the most outrageous, and you can tell, like, most people know it's fake because they're like one like, and everyone's just afraid to acknowledge to the like your uncle,
Yeah.
like, man, that
what is that?
that's not really Jose Canseco, man.
Well, how about those "you won't believe what she looks like now" websites? It's on like CNN. You go down the bottom of CNN.
Dude, that's my Instagram. I scroll back a couple years. I'm like, what the fuck happened to me? I'm like, I fucking quit smoking. I gained like 35 pounds. I went gray. I'm like, fuck, man.
How much does smoking affect the way you feel?
Not smoking is I feel amazing, but it was a weird addiction I had, heavy addiction.
How many cigarettes were you smoking a day?
A lot, man. Like 2 packs easy.
Whoa.
For like 18, 19 years.
Whoo, that's a lot.
I know, but then I had a baby coming, and I just set a date. No books, no anything, no pills or anything. Set a date, and I bought a 12-pack of beer and 4 packs of cigarettes, and went into my studio, and just smoked every cigarette and drank every beer, and just felt like shit on purpose, knowing that I wouldn't want a cigarette, and I never smoked a cigarette after that. But I did gain a lot of weight. I mean, chicken parmesan tastes a lot better when you're not smoking cigarettes. It's like, I don't know, you have kids. I had my first kid last year, and you go through that, I think most people go through it. You just realize, like, oh shit, like I'm 39, I got to stick around for this kid and cut the bullshit. So that's what motivated me to do it.
It really affects your taste buds, huh?
I think it affects your metabolism a lot.
Makes you speedy, right?
It makes you speedy. It just satiates your appetite completely. You don't like I eat like normal meals now, and I've gained weight. But before I realized I was just like barely eating food.
My friend Tony smokes, and he went down to the Jewel. Then he quit that totally. Tony Hinchcliffe, and he would smoke cigarettes before a show. I go, give me one of those things. I go, what does that do for you? I go, give me one of those things. And I lit it, and I hadn't smoked a cigarette in more than a decade. And last time I did it for like a play. And I couldn't believe how high I got. I'm like, oh my God, this gets you so high.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, but it does the first couple. And
you
then
chase the dragon.
Once you're back in there,
yeah,
you're not getting that effect.
But it is amazing. Yeah. Like, on its own, like what the hit that you get from a cigarette, I'm like, holy shit, I feel great.
Well, I do. Like, I feel like every once in a while it'll be in a situation where I'm like, oh man, I actually really do want a cigarette, but instantly I'm like, that will mean for me buying a whole pack, being right back on it. Although I was like, well, maybe I'll give myself 1 weekend a year. I'll just torture myself and allow myself to look forward to that 1 weekend a year, smoke some cigarettes.
If you can make that kind of a deal with yourself, I think that's possible.
I think I'm capable of it because I do have pretty good willpower. I mean, I was able to quit just like cold turkey.
The people that would be like addiction specialists would tell you that you're fooling yourself.
You're fooling yourself, buddy.
If I try to pretend I'm an addiction, let's say I'm an addiction specialist. Okay. Come on, but you don't need it.
Yeah, I know.
You've gone without it this long. Look how great everything is.
I know. I mean, but then
why do you want to go back to it? Why do you want to open up the door?
But then I would open up this door to this whole thing like, why do you need anything?
That's a good point.
I mean, and then it's because it's fun, and if I could do it for 1 weekend and it to be less harmful than every day, I mean, everybody has addictions. Everyone's full of addictions, whatever it is. Like, I'm addicted to sleep. I think that's my biggest addiction. It's like I'm like, that was my biggest fear really about having a child. Like, how am I gonna sleep? What the fuck? I need, you know what I mean? Like, freaking out. And to this day, I'm like, I get up to take my stepdaughter to school at like 7, and then I'm like, I come back in the house and I just sneak back into bed, and I try to avoid having to wake up to take care of the baby. I have excuses ready to go. Like, I got so much to do later today, man. I just need a couple more hours.
That's a good thing for your body, though. Yeah. Not enough people get that. So that's a good addiction. You got a solid, healthy addiction.
I think if you don't get enough sleep, it's the worst thing for you. I mean, that's when I feel the craziest.
Me too. I feel like everything's barely keeping it together. You know, I'm functioning at like 70%.
I know that. I know when I've reached a wall of exhaustion. It's like when I go, like, I need a nap, and then I lay down, and I just have a full-on like existential crisis. Like, I get really stressed out when I'm tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
the cigarette one's so weird because if you think how many people are doing it right now, listening to this, smoking a cigarette, and all of them know it's bad for them, but everyone's just drawn to it. It's such a weird, and it kind of represents that you're having fun. It represents that you're free, doing whatever the fuck you want. I'm smoking a cigarette. I know it's bad. Shut up.
I don't know. I found it.
It's only like that once when you're like 15.
No, I think
and
it's
then
like,
it's never like that again. And then it's just an addiction.
Well, smoke. I do smoke a cigar every once in a while, and I think that the thing about that's similar between the two, aside from nicotine, is because you don't get much nicotine from a cigar. It's like not nearly
comparable. No.
Not at all. But it is like it's like I'm telling myself and everybody around me, like, fuck off for however long I have this time to myself. You know what I mean? So there's that aspect to it. And I don't know. I mean, I think that if you marketed cigarettes right, man, you could get every motherfucker smoking, because you could just say, like, it's like the new cacao nib. It's like, this is like Native Americans use this shit. Like,
yes,
it's a natural antidepressant. Get on the fucking
This
American
doesn't
spirits.
have any chemicals.
No chemicals.
Is there a difference as a cigarette smoker between the high you get from like an American Spirit or, a hand-rolled cigarette versus like a cool?
You just get, I mean, when you're smoking cigarettes, you're just into your brand. And I actually bought a Juul based on a recommendation from a friend years ago. So long ago that they follow me on Twitter. Like, they must have looked at who was buying this shit, and I was one of the few people that was verified or something. It was 2014 or 15. And that's when I knew, like, when I knew that I could not be vaping. I hate it. And I was like, the minute, A, you look like an idiot, but B, like, it's like temperature thing for me. It's like it's too hot. It's like fucking gross. And it's like, might as well just not be smoking if you're going to smoke the Juul thing. But it's weird because my stepdaughter, like, all of her friends are like fascinated by the Juul specifically. It's like an epidemic with these like high school kids that want, and I was like, that's a funny joke until you all get addicted to cigarettes because that shit's fucking real.
Well, it's also, some kids are having problems with the oils in their lungs, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, some kids
there's
are in
been a
hospital.
few kids.
I was probably for not moving around. That's probably just from looking at their iPad all day.
I think they were saying that they had grown some sort of infections in their lungs. They had damaged their lungs. I don't know if it's true, though. You know, it's like one of those stories that I just looked at the headline and I didn't look into it at all.
It's Facebook, one like post.
No, it's Jamie. Do you know, is that legit? Like, have people really experienced severe lung disease associated with vaping? Is that real?
I think they're trying to link it, or there has been studies saying that maybe this is from it because there's some sort of chemical that's in it.
But that's probably just the cigarette lobbyists trying to shut that down.
Well, it's the number that's weird. It's like not that many. It's like a couple.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing?
I don't know, man. I don't think that the government should be regulating that kind of stuff. I mean, they should make sure it's like safe, but they shouldn't outlaw it. And I saw that California or someone.
Well, it seems easy for kids to get. That's where it gets weird.
Yeah.
It's like the reason why we keep kids from cigarettes.
I don't know.
It's not fair to get them hooked on something that's that physically addictive that young when your brain is still forming. You know, it's like a sneaky trick. If you can keep it away from kids at an early age, but it makes them feel cool, man.
Well, I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like weed wasn't that hard to get when we were in high school, but now it must be way easier. So I don't know.
Do you think it's easier to get weed or cigarettes if you're in high school?
In California, probably weed. I mean, I know people here that, like, when I was smoking, like, oh my God, I can't believe you smoke. And then there's like smoking a joint. I'm like, man, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. And like they're driving around in their Tesla. And I'm like, that's a cool ass fucking car. But what happens when you get like a 300-pound battery full of heavy metals in a dump like 100 years from now? I don't know what the fuck happens. Who the fuck knows?
What do they do with the metals from the batteries?
Well, I'm just saying, man. These giant.
That's what's in the Juul.
I'm just saying, man. That the thing about the Tesla and all these electric cars is I think that they're really smart and cool, but the idea of having to filter all these rare earth minerals into one place, that much.
Right.
It's the first time that's ever happened.
It's a good argument.
Well, I don't know.
It's an interesting argument.
We had a buddy who had leukemia and bone cancer actually, and his doctor, who wasn't a quack, I think he was at the Cleveland Clinic, was like, "This is from having too many heavy metals in your system. That's how you got this." He's like, your heavy metals are out of control. And the doctor said, did you grow up near a mine? And the kid asked his parents, he's like, what's this about? And they're like, oh yeah, we had you on a commune in Colorado. We lived there for your first year of life.
In a mine?
Like in an old mine. It was like an old mining town.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and it said that's probably what it came from. I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I'm a drummer.
No, but that makes sense that you would get that from a mine. I mean, if it gets into the air,
because
into the atmosphere.
you're filtering like the heaviest metals down. So you're like, I don't know if you've ever been to like there's a town, what's it called? Jerome, Arizona. My wife's from Sedona, and near there's this little mining town called Jerome. It's really cool, like kind of touristy spot. But there's this giant slag hill. I mean, it's massive, and it's just like all of the shit that wasn't copper or gold or silver, but was heavier and sinking to the bottom when they're looking for that stuff, and then they throw it. And that's the kind of shit that's the rare earth mineral stuff that they make, cadmium and whatever else, lithium.
So it's just laying around.
Well, it's just you're when you're in these mining towns would concentrate it. Wow. Because it was all the stuff they wouldn't use. They didn't know
waste. It was waste.
It was waste stuff.
So did they know, has anybody done some sort of an environmental test to find out what effect it's had on the water or
I don't know, man.
The soil?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I know a dude who had severe bone cancer because he grew up in an area that was irrigated with like different pesticides. They put pesticides down. It got into the groundwater, and then quite a few people in his neighborhood got cancer. And they made a correlation. Who knows if it's 100% what caused it, but a bunch of people got similar cancer. So
that's how my grandpa died. My grandpa was a landscaper, and he had a plastic bucket, and he would take the pesticides and he'd fill the bucket with water, put the pesticide in, mix it with his hand every day.
Oh Jesus!
And he died of bone cancer. Same thing.
Fuck, man.
Well, I've also heard that lung cancer, a lot of it is caused from actually the fertilizer used, which is, and it's like a plutonium, the same shit they used to kill the Russian spy. You know, it's like basically like it's an isotope of lead, I think, and if we heat it up, it becomes this isotope. And over years of smoking, your body builds up small amounts of plutonium. Eventually, and that mixed with the radioactive carbon isotopes of smoking. You know what I mean? That's why, I think you figure that out, I'd still be smoking if you could just get rid of those two things.
Well, if they just figure out some sort of stem cell spray, you can do it in there every day. It heals 100% all the smoking damage. How many people would go back to smoking?
Would it heal the brain damage?
Does smoking give you brain damage
well,
as
no,
well?
but like Jose Canseco, if he has that. That would be cool.
They're thinking they may be someday able to regenerate tissue in the brain, but they've never been able to prove that they can do it. It's just a theory. They think they can regenerate disc tissue too, and I know they're doing studies on that, like the spongy stuff in between your spinal column. They think they can regenerate that stuff with stem cells, but there's no proof yet. But it's exciting stuff.
It's exciting. I personally prefer to ignore all medical stuff because it freaks me out. I went to the doctor to get a physical for the first time, and it was just based on me. Like, I quit smoking, I've gained some weight. Let me just figure out where I'm at. And we also needed one for our tour, so I was like, "This is good."
Insurance, yeah, we had to do physical
for insurance. And I was like, "What's up with this? Like, how's my heart look?" And the woman that was doing my heart, I can't get this other. I think I got it right. The EKG thing. I was like. So my heart looks good. It's like, looks really good. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
Jeez. And then they did some blood work and yeah, it looks really good. There's some high levels of this and that. I was like, what's that? We don't really know, but we'll check in a couple months. And I was like, came back, yeah, I think you just gained some weight, but we're not really sure. Basically, I don't know. I've seen medicine save people's lives before, and then I've seen also. It be it basically feels like they still don't know what the fuck is happening in your body a lot of times.
Yeah.
So it's best to probably avoid a lot of that shit. It's try to avoid getting sick.
Definitely.
If you can. That's my medical advice.
That's solid advice.
Well, I went and they told me that I had this elevated liver enzyme. I was like, is that from drinking beer or something? No, actually, it's just it's not even it would be different. It'd be the opposite. I was like, well, what's it from? I don't know. Don't worry about it. And I went to this other guy. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, you've got some fat in your liver. And I was like, is it because I gained weight? Because that's why I'm here in the first place? And they're like, probably that's it. I was like, what should I do about it? And they're like, just lose some weight if you can. I was like, oh,
he's just since he got the physical, he's just been laying it awake at night.
I'm just stressing out now. I'd be better off not getting this physical because I could have diagnosed myself of being a fat ass myself. I don't need this shit.
Well, you know what you needed?
Yeah.
You needed someone who's a doctor, but also can take you several steps down the road. This is what we're going to do. Here's what your plan is.
Well, it's all about bedside manner, man. It's all about that because look, I had this person be like, if there's something really that you really need to be stressing out about, I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'll stress out for you. I'm like, what? That's not how I work. If I know that there's one thing that, and someone really close to me had a really severe, life-threatening episode earlier this year that was very fucking traumatic for everybody involved, including myself. And I ended up gaining 20 pounds in a month, basically 15 pounds. From this, and I haven't really been able to shake it, and that's what led me to get this physical. But watching this thing happen to this person, who was very close to me, was I was what the bedside manner was just insanity, because it was the first time I've been in someone that wasn't didn't have like a long-term illness, just like it's life or death. And like, it was like, there was no comforting. It was like, oh yeah, at any minute, this person could die for like 5 days. I think, is there anything you can do? Like, no, not. We've done everything. Just, sit tight. It was like, fuck. Yeah, it was like, yeah.
Do you think they have PTSD? Do you think like emergency room doctors have PTSD? They have to, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
Don't you think?
Well, the idea that this one person had to sit me down and tell me what was going on, and like the look in this dude's eyes, it was like he looked freaked out, but he wasn't calming me at all. You know what I mean? It was
right.
But he also didn't want to lead. He couldn't pretend it was going to be okay.
Can you imagine having to have those conversations with someone?
I can't imagine
every
it.
day, multiple times.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah, people get mad at you sometimes.
No, man, I can't imagine it. I could never do that job.
I think we don't think of them as experiencing it traumatically because they're doctors. We think they should be able to handle it.
Right.
But I mean, they're also humans who are seeing dead humans. Like, those consequences affect every one of us. When you look at that all the time, I don't buy that you don't experience some form of like intense stress.
I mean, I've experienced intense stress from doing the thing I love the most, which is playing concerts. You know what I mean? I've experienced it firsthand, where it's like, and that's way different.
When does it hit you? Like when?
Obviously, I'm not like telling someone their fucking loved one's like about to fucking die, but
do you still feel
man, it's all
of stress?
For me. It's all about just being in the right headspace. I mean, like when we first started playing, we would play these indie rock clubs, because we come from that background, like I guess what they would call now hipster shit or whatever. And that was just people who liked, really passionate about certain types of music that wasn't massively appreciated, which is still kind of what we're into. But because of that, most of the people that were coming to our shows were like the high fidelity type record store clerk. You're playing a show and it's just like arms crossed, and afterwards, like, pretty good. We'd be like 22-year-old kids, and the gatekeepers were like 30, 32-year-old. Now I would look at them as maybe being like, supportive, but at the time it was more supportive. But at the time it felt more like judging. You know what I mean? So if I get in the wrong headspace, then I'm out on stage. I'm like, oh man, everyone's here to like judge us or something. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at this big crowd, but then I ultimately tell myself, I was like, the worst band of all time has probably played to more, like some terrible, like Menudo's played to more people. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't that many people. There's like tonight we're playing the Wiltern. Like, there's like 3,000 people. It's like, let's be honest. Like, the worst stand-up comedian, like, I don't know, or I don't know, man. Like, the fifth Jonas Brother could sell 5,000 tickets in LA probably. So it's less stressful when I like, or Gallagher too could probably sell 3,000 fucking tickets in Los Angeles. Come on. That's how I look at it. I'm like, oh, we deserve to be here more than that person anyway. We put our time in.
That's a hilarious way to look at it.
I'm serious.
Well, why would you concentrate on things that you think that suck? Does that alleviate anxiety? Does it actually work?
No, I read this thing that Captain Beefheart, one of our favorite musicians, said, and it was like, if you think about what you're doing, you've already lost the battle. And the reality is that I don't need to think about, and I know Dan doesn't. We don't need to think about what we're doing. So because we're not thinking about what we're doing, like, the trick is to stay in the moment with the music. But I can play and not think about it, and then I start thinking, like, what's that person fucking thinking about out there? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I got this other conversation happening here. I'm like, and
there's like an intruder.
Yeah, there's like I like temporary schizophrenia. Like, Pat, what if you just stopped playing? Like a devil and angel. Like, yeah, there's like, I actually remember thinking that on stage at Glastonbury. There'd be like, there's like 200,000 people or close to that, and like, oh, if I just stopped playing, like, what would happen? And so I'm like, maybe don't do that. Don't do it. Just keep going.
Yeah, Pat sort of almost had a breakdown at Lollapalooza one year.
It was intense for both of us, actually, because you know what it was. I mean, you should tell the story.
I mean, I just remember it from my point of view. I don't know. I don't know what was going on through your head at the moment.
5 Red Bulls.
He was getting into this thing where he would be really anxious and drink a lot of Red Bull.
Oh, no.
And so we got on stage, and it was like a sea of people. And he was on his 5th Red Bull, and his eyes were like saucers, and he was just staring at me. And I had to like talk him off the ledge, right? Like I had to like put my foot up on the riser and kind of lean in and kind of talk in a calm voice. Hey, man, how you doing?
You know what? I mean, I was just exhausted, really.
I'm like, what do you want to do? Whatever you want to do is cool with me. Yeah, what? Just let me know.
He had to calm me down.
How many Red Bulls does it take before it becomes speed?
I don't drink that shit anymore. But I think we also had been playing these shows, and it was exhausting. And
yeah, most of it had to do with our schedule, our stress.
And it was in the middle of summer. It was hot as hell, and I would think I was severely dehydrated. But I mean, I was, because we played this one show in Des Moines right around this time. This was in 2010, right? So this is when this happened, was at Lollapalooza 2010, and this is a festival that we had played like 4 times before, so it wasn't like something new, and we weren't even headlining this time. It was just like we were on stage doing something. I was actually looking forward to the show, but this was like a pivotal moment for me. It was like I just kind of missed a beat of a song, something that no one else even noticed other than probably Dan, and then I was like, oh shit, and I spun out, and then I just kept spinning out, you know what I mean, like a panic attack on stage. And when you have like a panic attack, like, you tend to get a panic attack doing the same thing you did before. So I, for a while, was having like little mini panic attacks every time I was on stage. But I got through the set and everything was fine, but I was like, fuck. And a part of it was that I looked out and there were like 50,000 people. We'd been playing this festival 4 or 5 times before, and to like crowds starting at maybe 5,000 people, and now here we are. Like most of the festival was watching us play. And it was like, oh shit, like, what the fuck's happening? Finally, people were here, and I was like, I can't fuck it up now. And then like, boom. But I went to go see this dude here in LA, in Santa Monica, named Kerry Gaynor, who like, he specializes in like fear. He's a hypnotist. I mean, look, man, I didn't know what to do.
Wait a second. Dude, this gets so good, man. Keep going.
Dude, I didn't know what to do because I didn't. Like a couple friends are like, man, just get some beta blockers, get some Valium, drink some beer. I can't do any of that shit before I go on. I can't be relying on that before I play. So I was like, I got a recommendation to go see this hypnotist who specializes in like quitting smoking and fear of flying, and also stage fright. He does a lot of like actors who are going to do like plays for the first time. So I went to go see Carrie at his house, and we were playing some shows at the Palladium, and he did this thing, hypnotized me, and the second night, like I went the first night we played, it was like better. The second night we played, it was like pretty much gone, and then I woke up in the hallway of the Roosevelt Hotel in the stairwell in my underwear at like 7 in the morning, and I'm literally I'm in the staircase in my underwear. It's 7 in the morning, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I just remembered like this number, like 708. I think it was like 708. Because I'd only been to the room two times. I never. And my girlfriend at the time was in there, luckily, and I went and knocked on the door. She's like, what the fuck? Where the fuck were you going? I was like, I just don't know. Hypnotism, it's real.
Jesus.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
Yes. Yes.
Did it work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy who was on yesterday, actually. His name's Vinny Shorman. He hypnotizes a lot of fighters.
Okay.
And he
hypnotizes fighters.
Yeah, he gets them into this. It's really interesting. Like I'd never had it before, and I wanted to try it. I was like, okay, I had these thoughts that it was probably bullshit, or it's for people who have weak minds. But it's a state that they can talk you into. And someone who's really good, like Vinny, can talk you into this state, and then you're totally conscious, but you're definitely in this weird tunnel where you feel safe, like mentally safe.
It works.
And you can talk and think about things in a way that's almost free of normal, regular anxiety. You can address the anxiety, you can see it, but it's for the brief amount of time while you're really in that state, you can get rid of all that shit.
This dude,
Very weird.
This guy, Carey, I remember a couple of things specifically that he said, and he said, like, you're afraid of messing up. Like, that's the whole point of like being in a rock band, is like, it's okay to mess up. It's not supposed to be perfect. You know what I mean? Perfection isn't something that anybody even wants. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to like an art gallery and you see like a Thomas Kincaid painting, no one wants that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and he was like, he was telling me all that. He was telling me this shit. Like, he was like, basically like, your personality is, everyone's flawed. We're human beings. It's okay. Like, whatever. Like, you're not supposed to be perfect. You have no desire to be the, there's no drumming competition you've entered. You know what I mean? And it was like, I came out of it like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I'm supposed to just be here having fun. And it worked. And then I got really nervous a couple years later when we were supposed to play the Grammys on TV. And I just got really fucking nervous about it. And I think I got nervous because it's like one of those things that's not natural for us.
Right.
It's like, we're going to be playing music on stage with all this pop music and stuff that has nothing to do with what we're about. But we couldn't say no. I think we had to do it because we couldn't just knock it till we tried it. But we had sat through the Grammy performance before, and it was atrocious. I mean, it really is like so alienating especially when the big pop stuff comes out. It's like, what we do is something different. You know what I mean? So I went to go see him before we played the Grammys, and he did this whole thing. He's like, while I was hypnotized, and I remember it. Like, he's like, when they tell you 30 seconds, it's 30 seconds till you're on. You're gonna start smiling. When they get to like 15, it's gonna get bigger. When they say 4, like, you're just not gonna be able to stop smiling. And I was like, anyway, the shit. If you watch the video, I'm just like smiling the whole time. And the minute the song ends, like, I just dropped my drumsticks. I was like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm never doing that again. But I will say, it was like, I think it's the best TV performance.
Why you never doing it again? Because you never perform at the Grammys again, or you'd never get hypnotized again?
Oh, I would get hypnotized again if I needed it.
The stress.
Just the stress of doing it. I mean, I would do the Grammys again, possibly, sure. But it was like, at the time, it just seemed like unnecessary stress. And then, like, all this, I think, I had a couple of issues about the Grammys because the first time we ever went, like, we won 2 Grammys. It was like, this is the weird thing. We go, and the awards that we're nominated for were given away at the pre-telecast. This is the first time we were nominated for Grammys. This is on our record, Brothers. So we're there like February 2011. And my brother Michael was nominated for a Grammy. So he for a record cover of the year for our record. So Mike wins a Grammy first, right off the bat. First award of the day, record cover. Mike wins. It gets down to like the rock category. We win like rock performance of the year or something. And we go in the Staples Center conference area, wherever we go, collect our award, and we're standing on the side of the stage, and they say, next up are the rock song of the year. They list all the nominees, including us. So we stay there because we're all nominated for this award. And also Neil Young for whatever song. And so Neil Young wins that. And they're like, this is Neil Young's first Grammy Award. And at that moment, I was like, what the fuck? My brother Michael has had a Grammy longer than Neil Young. I'm like, that's so fucking crazy. I'm like, and us 2 knuckleheads have too. And then we go and we win a Grammy right after him. We win Alternative Album of the Year. So now we have more Grammys than Neil Young within 10 minutes. And I was like, this is all kind of fucking insane, isn't it? Like, none of it makes sense. I started looking, none of my favorite bands have fucking Grammys. Like, The Clash don't have a fucking Grammy.
The Clash don't have a Grammy?
No. So I'm like,
what?
So then, anyway, I'm thinking about this the whole day. Just like, this is insane. I mean, it's exciting. It's cool. But it's also like, it's like, it means a lot less when your favorite bands don't have Grammys that should have them.
How does a Grammy work? Is it?
Well, wait, I was going to finish this thing real quick. Because this is what the apprehension I have about the Grammys is like this. Day ended with us going back to the hotel we were staying at, which at the time was the Chateau Marmont, and TMZ was there, and it popped out. Like, we tried to like just avoid Warner Brothers has a party there. We were trying to avoid all of that stuff just to go hang out with our friends, and a camera literally bumps out at the liquor locker right there on the corner, and like And the guy asked me, he's like, how do you feel about Justin Bieber not having a Grammy? And I was just like, I'm sitting there thinking about the Clash. You know what I mean? And like Justin Bieber, I'll sell him my Grammys for all the money he has. Basically, what I'm trying to say, like, the motherfucker should be happy just to have a fucking career. I said something like that. And it was just like, I'm not, you know, it wasn't even like necessarily a knock on Justin Bieber. It's just like, that's my response to the question. I'm thinking about something else, and I'm getting in the car and we leave. And then the next morning I wake up to a tweet. This is right at the height of the anti-bullying shit too, which is like, you know, Justin Bieber, like, don't bully motherfucker. He's like, the drummer from the Black Keys should get slapped. And at the time I was like, thought it was the funniest fucking thing that's ever happened. But I was like, you know what? I can't deal with any of that shit. Like, I don't want any of that shit. And so I realized, like, that was my experience about my apprehension about playing the Grammys. All came back to that. It was like, what is the fucking Grammy? What is this shit? Like, we're just jerking ourselves off, like congratulating ourselves. Does anybody watch this shit that really cares about us? I don't think so.
Well, also, what if there's like 12 great bands? Does only one of them win the Grammy of the year, right? Is there second place, third place? Is there anything like that? Like, the idea of judging art is always weird. But to judge like one, you got one? You pick one out of all these that are awesome?
It's also like, it's you know, ultimately it's no different than any other election.
Yeah.
Like the year that we were nominated for Album of the Year, so was Jack White. So we split our votes. You know what I mean? Like, someone had to either vote for us or Jack, or like Mumford and Sons. It's ultimately complete nonsense. You know what I mean? It
seems like it perverts the love of the thing, because it's like, what you guys do is awesome. I love your music, but I feel you're like, I just want you to do it. You know, just when there's little contests, and this is number one, and this one wins this, and this is the band of the year and the album of the year. Like, says who, and why is it a contest? Can't it just be, this is awesome shit? Here's some different awesome shit.
That's why we didn't. That's why we didn't bundle.
That was the whole motivation behind this record. Was like, it was to not partake in the current bullshit in the music industry. Which is, so check this out. Do you mind if I explain it?
Please do.
Okay. We had a conversation with our manager about this record, right? You know, release. It went from everything like, we have family. We don't really want to be on the road for 100 days this year. We don't necessarily want to do anything. We don't want to do anything we're not excited about. You know, so it came down to the promotion and stuff. And it was like, we want to get in front of people and play our songs and have fun. You know, and the conversation came up with about the actual album, like. Warner Brothers was interested if we wanted to bundle it, which is when you include the record like with a ticket, right? And a lot of people have been doing it, whether you buy a t-shirt and you get a record, and it's a digital download link. And I was like, well, how does that work? And I'm like, well, you would give $5 from each ticket back to Warner Brothers, and then you would get a record sale. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me and to Dan. And they're like, yeah, well, it's the only way you're gonna get a number one record. So if you want a number one record, you got to do that. And I was like, well, so it's 1-to-1. Like, we give $5 back, and then we get a royalty, and we get a ticket sale. And like, no, you don't get a royalty, and you only get an album sale count if they click the link, and we have a 50% click through. So in other words, we would pay $10 per sale on Nielsen SoundScan by giving the money back that we've sold on tickets to Warner Brothers, to our record label. I was like, fuck that shit. At this point,
that is a crazy deal.
Check it out. We've sold 250,000 tickets on this tour. So we would give back 1.25 million. Our record advance for this record was less than that. I was like, if Dan and I were just on our own record label, we could give ourselves $5 per ticket and count, and we just take the money from the right hand to the left hand, give you a link, and if you counted it, we get the sale, we keep the money. That's basically what the fuck was going on. You know what I mean? And it's all based on fear. Like, all of this shit. It's like, do you want to be relevant? You know, that's basically the conversation that is basically being had. Not that direct, but it's like, as an artist, you better try to get good numbers, get that first week up there. And Dan and I are basically like, fuck that. Fuck it. It doesn't even fucking matter. People are going to come to the shows or they're not going to come to the shows. We're going to make records. People are going to buy them or they're not going to buy them. And I think that it's detrimental to the music industry. Like to pay too close attention to certain metrics, man. It's like the whole system right now with these majors is like signing shit that has the most social media interaction, the most streaming. And I was like, you know what? When I was 9 years old, I bought Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby. And I listened to that shit, like, I'm not joking, like 250 times in a week, like a fucking idiot. Like, that's who's listening to this shit. That's getting 1 billion streams in a month. It's like fucking 9-year-old morons. It's like, I like our fan. I like to think that our fans have, like, you know, they got like 150 albums that they listen to on a sort of rotation, at least, and ours may be one of them a month. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a different fucking audience. You know what I mean? It's you look at Instagram and you see these certain people who I've never even heard their music. They have like 10 million followers. Yeah.
The weird thing is that there would be any comparison at all. Like, why bother comparing?
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But that's the problem, is that there are two different things at play here. There's the music industry itself, which is like, certain people who work in the industry, high ups, are like, we need to sell records. We need like this pop producer to work with this writer and this artist, and we need streaming numbers. And then there's certain people, you know, like the old guard, like the Lenny Warnaker or Seymour Stein, or, you know, even lots of younger guys too. But they're like, actually, what we're doing is curating art that we really like. And it's either going to sell or it's not going to sell. And a lot of the records that we grew up listening to, most of them, were records made by these kind of insanely eccentric, weirdo people that never sold records, but have literally changed our lives. And like Captain Beefheart being one of them, you know, like Tom Waits has sold some records, but still, like, it's a much different type of commercial viable thing. But these artists are why we make music. You know, it has nothing to do with this shit. It's like the difference between like the Vogues, you know what I mean, and like the Fugs. It's like there's a lot of these comparisons that you can make about what we do. And our place in the music industry is to do what we do. And for a while we were taking part in like the mainstream aspects of music. You know what I mean? We were playing like the MTV Movie Awards and having these insane weird experiences, only because we hadn't done it before and we felt like we had to do it. And I wouldn't change anything, but at this point, like, I think steering as far away from all of that shit is what we want to do right now.
Yeah, there's no reason to lump you in with anything. Like, why would any, you know, that's one of the weird things about these award shows, right? You're lumping all these different musicians together that don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. No. Just all make music.
Well, check it out. It's like we played the MTV Movie Awards in 2012. We got offered to do it. We watched it when we were kids. We were in LA already. It was like, whatever. Aerosmith came out and introduced us. And now I'm thinking, like, why would they agree to be on the MTV Music Awards? Like, what are they going to get from that or whatever? The whole thing was kind of bizarre. You know what I mean? It's all really bizarre. It's like they need to be in the spotlight or something, you know, and we're just like, I think we kind of realized how goofy it was while we were there. But we got an insane experience because we were hanging out with Johnny Depp and Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. And and this is crazy because after we do this song or whatever, we're out backstage by the trailers, and I like see Steven Tyler and Joe Perry and Johnny Depp talking, and we walk over because we just want to see what they're talking about. And I'm just like, I'm looking at this shit. They're all wearing the craziest accessories. Like, they're dressed up like, you know, archetypes of rock stars or whatever. And they're like talking about, and Steven Tyler and Joe Perry are talking about how they're going to get their arsenal across state lines. And I was like, what? Like yeah, man, we travel with a goddamn arsenal. I was like, what? Like, yeah, and AR-15s, we have fucking grenades. I was like, this is insane, man.
Oh my God.
I think it's worth it. We're here today just to hear that these guys feel like they need to travel with grenades. But then I was thinking about have you ever seen their video game?
No.
Dude, the Aerosmith video game.
I didn't know they had one.
Dude, if you watch their video game, after hearing this conversation Dan and I were privy to, you're like, this makes complete sense. Because it never made sense to me. It's like the Terminator arcade game where there's like, back in the early 90s. It's that, but it's them. It's like fucking insane. You should put a clip up of that.
Here we go. This is his game?
Yeah.
That's the hero.
This is to play it through.
Oh my God.
They're on stage there.
Yeah, and then it brings up a whole other thing, which is like,
how weird.
After the Bataclan shit, like this is a real fucked up game to look at.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Oh
Holy
my God,
shit.
right? Yeah. When did this come out though? This has got to be old as fuck.
94.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So they're in the background playing, and then in front of them, war. Seems feasible. They just stuck Aerosmith into a game.
It's called cocaine psychosis, is what it's called.
But that's like the worst effort ever. They just stuck them, and they don't even move good.
They kidnap him.
Oh no! Oh, hilarious! That's part of the game. They kidnap him. Oh my God!
Oh man!
Wow, this is terrible. It's amazing that back then we were like, this is so radical. Look how good the graphics are. You get used to everything. That's hilarious. Steven Tyler's the nicest fucking guy ever.
Yeah.
He's so
they were
sweet.
really nice. It just like I didn't realize they had to travel with weapons.
I didn't know they traveled with weapons. We never discussed that. He's such a nice guy, though.
Yeah, I met him at the Ryman in Nashville. Backstage, too.
What a
recently.
fucking great place that is.
Yeah.
That's like one of my all-time favorite places.
Yeah, so cool.
You just feel the entertainment in the walls. Mm-hmm. It's like it feels like it's a building that's been entertained. You know what I mean? I mean, they did the Opry there for how many years?
I don't know.
So many people play there. It just feels special.
Every week there's something special going on there. It's so cool.
It is cool.
You know, it's great that you openly talk about having these panic attacks, because there's so many kids that I'm sure who are huge fans of yours who also have panic attacks, and they can't fucking believe that you guys, with your level of success, could still have these little battles, that we've all had. So that's so huge that you're willing to talk about that and say that. That I'm telling you, that is definitely going to make an impact on people.
Once you have it, like the first time I ever really had a panic attack, I had one, and then I kind of didn't have another one until this moment on on Lollapalooza. But the first time really was in Amsterdam, on the way from Amsterdam to London. Dan bought some mushrooms. And I guess they're illegal there. I didn't. Dan bought them and brought them we were traveling in a van at the time, and they were giant, fresh mushrooms.
Not even dried?
No, man, it was like a meal. And he bought them. He's like, you should take some. You should take some. And I was like, I ate like the stem, and it was massive. I mean, it was like eating a burrito. And I was like, and after like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's like, I don't feel anything. And Dan's like, just eat the fucking rest, man. I don't know. I eat the rest of this thing, this massive ass thing, and like, I just instantly start sweating. And it smells like portobello mushrooms seeping from my skin. And I yell up to the driver. I'm like starting to spin out. I'm like, how do you get this to stop? He turns around. He only wore black and his shades on. And I really thought at the time he was like Satan. He's like, drink loads of beer. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I just like in the back, just like, fucking like freaking out for like 2 hours. And then finally we stop. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of this van. This is in 2003. This is a long time ago. And
you were white knuckling your girlfriend.
I was like, hey. And then we get out, and like, I just think it's the fresh air, man. And like, we stop at this gas station in Belgium, and I walk into the bathroom with Dan, and they're like, this woman's like speaking in French, like, it's basically saying I was like, what the fuck? What's happening? Dan's like, it costs money to pee here, bro. And I was like, what? He's like, I know, man. Is that crazy? And I'm like fucking freaking out. And all I had was like 50 euros, and I put it on the tray. And Dan grabs it and puts it in my pocket, and then puts like a nickel there. Like, dude, it doesn't cost that much to pee. And like, and then we both start laughing at that moment. And then I turned the edge from that, and then it was an amazing experience. We started being like laughing at like how clean their dumpster was. Like they had bright, like even the dumpsters here are clean. It was like bright red.
You could
like,
eat off it.
You could, yeah, we could eat. Like, you could really truly dumpster dive here and it'd be like eating a regular meal in America. But I got that panicky thing right there at the top, and I swear that shit opened it up for me, man.
There was no natural light in the back of the van. Also, all the windows had the really dark tint, black tint.
Oh,
so we were just in this panic van.
Yeah, you need to get outside.
Dark, yeah, I remember when the sliding door went open. It was like when they went into Willy Wonka's place.
Yeah.
All the light came in, and then it seemed like it was crazy because when we got back in the van 3 fucking hours later, like our driver's like, dude, we gotta go. I was like, we've been here for 20 minutes. He's like, it's been 3 hours of you guys talking about this dumpster. And I was like, no way. So we get back in, and Dan like out of nowhere, his girlfriend, I guess, maybe had at the time. He's like, "Do you want some bubble gum?" And we've been on tour for a month, and I never seen this bag. It was like a trash bag full of gumballs, and I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck's happening?" He's like, "Let's listen to some music, man." And so he put on NWA, and I was like, we both started laughing. I was like, because it sounded like Fisher Price music, like so plastic and brittle, and like doot 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 doot. I was like, this is so bad. This is so awful. And then he put on Captain Beefheart's Safe as Milk, and it was like the most incredible sounding record I'd ever heard. It was fucking insane. But it was that experience that first opened up me ever experiencing that, like, what the fuck's happening? Like, kind of fight or flight, but for no reason, panic attack thing. And I think, yeah, I deal with it mostly, but I just, when I'm on stage, I still get them occasionally. If I come in too fast or something.
Are you saying that it was started from that trip?
It's the first time I ever felt it, man.
Wow. Do you think you broke something in there?
I just think I took way too much. I'm really sensitive to getting high. Like,
yeah,
I just, it's not in my system. It's not for me.
You seem like you could have been a comic. Have you ever thought about being a comic?
I don't think I could. I like bullshitting though. But I definitely, I know.
You say funny shit, man. You have funny observations, and you're.
Well, thanks.
You have a mean streak.
I'm Dan's personal comic.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a comic.
But yeah, you think that was the first one, and then from then it maybe has opened up the door, and because you had one, it makes it easier to have another one. Is that how it works?
Well, I was exhausted that day because we were kids partying. I'd never been to Europe, really. We were in Amsterdam. I smoked weed the night before, which I don't do, and we were drinking. And I barely got any sleep. So it's super shitty feeling. So every time I'm like basically tired, I'm more prone to that shit. And it happens like at the airport, like the airport to me, early morning flights, it always kind of like that. It was really hectic and like everything's fucking moving around and tired. I'm like, fuck, this is fucking miserable. And festivals sometimes they're so crowded and like, but no, I haven't had a problem with them really. But the hypnotism shit worked. So
yeah, it's legit. If you can get a good one, a good person who can hypnotize you can put you in a state of mind and sort of change your course. Just give you a little adjustment in your perception, how you look at things. It feels like you're in like a little bit of a tunnel. It's very strange, right?
It is strange. I think it's like when people go see like a life coach. Maybe that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, hypnotist.
Some positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I think it just gets in there better. It's like it gets into the operating system better than a guy going, what you need to do, Pat, is prioritize. Yeah.
It's like it's like when you're looking at Instagram, someone's like, man, I'm just so happy. I don't know. There's people that kind of have like this cult type of mentality on Instagram. There's a whole scene there of like self-help, like man, just like gotta center yourself. It's like every one of these kids like went to a boarding school and like is disappointed in their parents. Like,
well, giving people advice exclusively as a way to live. It's just a strange way to go. You know, you got to do things too, like a lot of things.
Yeah, and it can't just be have dreadlocks.
Well, sometimes people think that the message is all that's important. That is most of what's important. But what's important is like, but how did you start doing this? Did you just decide to be a motivational guy? And have you done anything else? No? Right out of school, motivational guy. That seems like, are you just repeating shit? Do you really know that much about how to get your act together? Or are you just kind of, there's like a business.
A lot of repeating shit, man.
Yeah.
A lot of repeating shit.
And I've repeated it myself. I've said things myself that are motivational things that I've heard from other people say. And it's, because they're real. It's effective. You can help people. But if that's all you're doing, it's a little suspect.
Yeah, it's also when someone has a continuous message that's always the same and it's always positive, it makes me really suspect. Because I'm like,
I love the self-help guy on the Metallica documentary who was offering the lyric suggestions.
Yeah, that's the best movie ever made, probably, about music. It's like, it beat Spinal Tap. It's like, if there was a competition, I have to come down on some kind of monster. It made me actually like it made me as a fan appreciate those guys in a weird way. Their dysfunction, like they became characters. At one time, I'll watch the movie and I'll be like, oh man, like Lars is so annoying. And then I'll watch it again, like I'll still think Lars is annoying, but I still think he's right. Or so I have a different view every time I watch it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I end up liking those guys because of it more.
He stepped out in a big way with that Napster thing. It was an odd moment for everyone because everyone was trying to figure out what is this file sharing thing? Yeah. How's it going to affect? And then the music business, you guys felt it first. Like you guys were the big hit more than anything because it's not the same to watch a movie on your TV. Even if you can download an illegal movie, I'm sure it'll have a little bit of a hit, but people want to go to the fucking movie theater. But with your shit, they can, once people start sharing things, you just get a file. And everybody kind of just assumed that, well, I mean, this is like this new frontier, and it's not really stealing. You're just copying. It's just you're not giving them money for it, but you're not really stealing. You got this weird sort of, and Lars was the first guy to say, hey, fuck you, you're stealing. Like this, but it was a weird fight to have because hindsight is always 20/20. We know what the internet has become since then. It's incredibly difficult to try to keep a wrap on things. And to keep things to like keep someone from downloading things, like they just get there's so if you have songs, they get out there, Whereas that Napster thing was the first time this was happening, and he was the guy who was this really, really wealthy guy who was a huge success, saying, "Don't do this, like this is stealing."
Well, yeah, it's like David versus the Goliath type of thing. I mean, clearly people shouldn't steal, but is it Metallica's job to tell people that? Maybe, but maybe they should have gone directly to Napster or to their record label. But when streaming first started becoming like a real thing, we had to talk with a friend of ours who basically encouraged us to look at it and not do it. And I went with our manager, when talking to someone at Warner Brothers and said we didn't want to do it, and they were like kind of outraged. And like, you can't not do it. You can't not do it. And I didn't really know at the time, but I found out a couple months later that I found out a couple months later because I was quoted in Rolling Stone talking shit about like Sean Parker and Spotify. And what happened is I ended up getting a phone call or an email from Daniel Ek, the owner of Spotify. And we had lunch together. And he's a fucking cool guy. He's a nice guy, very intelligent, and I really saw his side of it for the first time. And he basically, without explaining it directly, was like, that he's paying our label to get our music. What they do with the money, he can't control. And you start realizing like that. At that moment, I realized, oh yeah, there's some stock being floated to these companies, which there was billions of dollars of stock was sent.
And the label has no obligation to give you money.
They gave us like a couple $100,000 of it out of the billion, because they paid it to us the way the label does, was they paid it as an artist royalty, and they took all these deductions off of it, and it was a made up number. It's there's a lot of money in the music industry right now, and the problem is that it's like not like, okay, some of my favorite bands for the most part, don't have hit songs. They don't get played on K-Rock. They don't have like a Macarena type shit that's going to be coming their way. You know what I mean? And that's what pays money is like because they treat almost every stream the same. It's like there's a royalty rate for if you pay for Spotify, and there's a royalty rate for if you're listening on a free service. But what they need to do, in my opinion, is they need to say, this guy, Joe listens to music. He has good taste in music. He follows 500 bands, which means that there's no possible way that he's going to be listening to all 500 of those bands in even a 6-month period of time. But when he does choose to listen to a song, it's worth like X, like 10X versus this person who's listening to Old Town Road 1,000 times a day. You know what I mean? Because Joe is like actually engaging with our thing and not just streaming the song for free and like a monkey, like bang, 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 you know, like a Pavlov, you know, whatever, mouth salivating every time they hear the little Old Town Road, whatever. I look at my Spotify thing and I'll go months. I pay for all of them. I have like YouTube, Apple, whatever. I don't have Tidal, but that's because they gave ownership to like 12 artists and they're like, fuck you. What the fuck is that? Just keep the ownership and pay a higher royalty, you fucking cocksuckers. You know what I mean? Honestly. So I'm like, anyway, I look at my Spotify. I listen to like 100 songs a month. It's barely anything. And I'm like, the way to really do this that's fair is you take my $10 fucking, right? And listen to 100 songs. That's it. Because I've got so many ways to listen to music that you take that 10 songs and you give everybody 10 cents. But that's not the way they do it. They're like, we pay 0.0005667 cents per stream. How could you fucking know what you pay for stream if you're a distribution service? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm giving you $10 and you're going to take 30% off the top, like Apple Music used to do when you would buy a CD, and then you take $7 and throw it towards the artist, that would make sense to me. But they don't. They're like, they're keeping all this fucking cash, or they're keeping it in a pile, and then at the end of the day, they're just satiating like, you know, Rihanna's $100 million check she gets every year, or, you know what I mean? But I know a lot of artists who they get checks for like $2.50 for a whole year on a record that normally would sell like 5,000 or 6,000 copies. But there's no need, like you have to basically be an idiot to buy a CD nowadays, you know, because it's a digital file that you ultimately could download from Spotify onto your phone and have it with you forever.
Yeah.
You know? Unless you don't have the internet. You know, if you're in Alaska or North Dakota, maybe you need to have a CD.
So few people are printing CDs. Then it boils down to how much of an infrastructure do you need as an artist? How many people do you need to be representing you? How does your stuff get out there? Does it get? I mean, especially with you guys, doesn't it just get out there?
Yeah,
because I mean, I just found out about you guys because somebody tweeted it. I'm like, oh, who are these guys?
I'm not worried about us, man. It's like the new bands coming out, new bands trying to break it. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
It's like, we're fine. But it bums me out.
But I mean, for anybody in the business, how much of an infrastructure do you need in this digital time?
Well,
you just need someone to figure out how to get it to people.
I think in a way, it's like when we first started, our first record deal was with a small label not far from where we are here. And the deal was this: give us 12 songs, pay for the recording yourself. We'll master it, which is the final process of making a record. It costs a couple $100. And we'll send you 50 albums, and we'll give you like 12% of the money we make. That was it. And we're going to have a $500 marketing budget. That was the deal. You know what I mean? So we basically, we made this record, paid for it ourselves, and we went on tour with this agent named Ralph Carrera. Booked us a tour, like kind of a mercenary agent who would like book. He booked the label. I think paid him a couple $100 to book us this tour, and it all kind of started steamrolling. You know what I mean? But we had no infrastructure. We had no management. We had no agent. We had nothing. We just kind of got in the van, started going. And I think in a lot of ways, nothing has changed except for that when we got to the second level, you know, there was a couple $1,000s there for us to make a record. There was opening slots that, you know, touring was a little bit different then. But I think we've always kind of done it in a way that was pretty DIY, and it's the same way it has to function now. The only difference is there's fewer record labels that are going to sit there and give you $15,000 to make a record, and maybe give you 10 grand to help you buy a van. And that's the hardest step. That's the threshold where bands are having a hard time getting through, you know? Once you get through there, then it's like, then you get to where we were for years, which is you're on a bigger label, you're making records, and no one's paying attention to you. The only reason why we ended up getting attention paid to us, I think, by Warner Brothers was for our 6 record brothers. It was a kind of a heavy time. I just turned 30. Dan just turned 30, and you know, when you turn 30, it feels like you've gotten old. You know what I mean? And like, especially in the rock and roll business. And we had this record that I thought was great, and I went to talk to Leor Cohen with our manager. Leor was one of the guys, heads of Warner Brothers, and I was like, we're the most synced band on Warner Brothers, which is when you get a song on a TV show or a movie or a commercial. I think there's no other band for the last 2 years that has had as many syncs as we've had. But I don't even know who works the radio department at Warner Brothers. And we've been on your label for like 4 or 5 years. And Leor basically was like, fuck. He prioritized us like that week. And for the first time was like, we're going to work on your band. And when that happened, that's when the Lollapalooza shit, that's when radio, K-Rock, everything fucking changed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It took us 6 albums, and it took us all those syncs, all that shit, all getting called sellouts all the time for a while, for having our songs.
Who's calling you sellout?
The same dudes that were at our first shows with their arms crossed.
Sellout's a funny one. You're still doing the same music, stupid. It's the same music. I mean, it's not. I think that it's different. I think that
for this type of thing, it comes from that idea that like maybe like that band like I liked them better when it was like my secret, my friends and I secret. Like,
for sure.
I don't want to share it with this dude. That's why like it's dangerous to have your song in certain things. Like if your song comes on in Walgreens, you better watch out, man. Like that's a red flag. Because we've had opportunities to have our songs sent to like top 40 radio. And there was this thing where like if we won record of the year for Lonely Boy, Warner Brothers was going to service that song to top 40. It would have never probably been a hit, but if we would have won that Grammy, it could have fucked our whole band up. I've seen it happen with lots of bands. Like you just you become like play school level.
Yeah, but do you really think that you guys would change? I think you probably would reject it.
We wouldn't have changed, but the thing is like you start accessing like, you start acquiring a fan base that's more fickle and maybe more annoying. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like a Chicago, like I bet you as a Cubs fan, like a Chicago Cubs fan in 2017 was like, fuck this World Series shit. You got every motherfucker wearing a fucking Cubs hat. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I know exactly what that would feel like. And it's probably the same thing. It's like if someone's going in there to get shaving cream, and this band that used to play at like the fucking Casbah in San Diego is playing it while they're checking out. Like they're probably like, fuck this. Fuck this.
Listen, if you guys put out the same music that you put out in that time period, it wouldn't have mattered. Your music is it's you guys, you know? I mean, it's even though you've gone experimental and you've done different styles of songs, and you know, some of them feel more bluesy, some of them feel more rock. It's like it's still Black Keys. If you guys just did that, it wouldn't matter what you were on. Nobody gives a shit. Yeah, the people that do give a shit, fuck them.
I had a big realization like a couple of years ago. I did this record with this guy from Cleveland, Ohio, named Glenn Schwartz, this guitar player. I used to go see Glenn when I was in high school, when I was 17. He played at the this place called Hooples in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was just a tiny little place. He was the original guitar player in the James Gang. So he, like, Joe Walsh says he first saw him in like 65 or something, and he was like on somebody's shoulders in purple bell bottoms, no shirt, playing electric guitar solo. And he said, Joe Walsh said that guy made me want to play electric guitar.
Wow.
You know? Cool. And this guy, I used to go see him all the time, and he would play these songs, which happened to be religious, which is just like another story, but it sounded like Cream, crazy. Anyway, 2 years ago, I had him at the studio, and it was all these memories were flooding back of all this like heavy electric guitar and seeing Link Ray in Cleveland, Ohio, and playing in the basement with Pat, and it was all at the same time, and all of those sounds from the first Black Keys records were coming out of this. He's almost like 80 years old playing this fiery electric guitar, and it was just like, it's who he was, and he helped me become who I am. And as soon as I finished that record, I called Pat, and we made this new one. Mm-hmm. And it was with that spirit. It was like, and it was just the two of us, and we never even talked about working with it. We didn't even talk about it. We just put it in the books, and we got together because I knew that I always know, no matter what happens, Pat and I can make music because that's just who we are. We don't even have to think about it.
Whatever the fuck you're doing, keep doing it exactly the same way. What you've done is, I mean, you've some of my favorite workout music of all time. Favorite driving, playing music. Sinister Kids, one of my favorite right about to get on stage songs.
That's cool. That's one of my favorites too. Actually,
fucking love that song.
And that's the funny thing is like when you start like sometimes I just nerd out and I start not like when I'm just like sitting at home, I'll look at like play counts of songs. That one is one of those songs that when we recorded, like this is one of our best songs. And it was one of the least purchased, least streamed songs. And it's like, but it's funny 'cause I think it's one of Dan's favorites too. It's like,
It's a fucking great song.
Most of the stuff that, you know, that's what's important about music is it's just to do what you are good at, what you feel, what you connect to. And I think that, I guess that's ultimately what I'm trying to say is that like, it's always been this way where it's like, there's always been this noise of like, you know, annoying, bad kind of mainstream music. And the problem is that because everything is getting streamed on the same platform and there's no more there's less independent record stores, there's no college music journal, everything's kind of compared to it. It's like, you know, you listen to like the new like Purple Mountains record, which is a guy who unfortunately passed away this summer, friends of ours, David Berman. I mean, I think it's maybe his greatest work, right? And the record has maybe 1 million streams or something, and compared to like whatever Drake is doing, it gets lost. It's completely lost, and I think that there needs to be a better way to highlight this stuff. It's still crazy to me that there isn't like a website that I can go to as a crazy music fan that I think is curating music that I actually want to hear. And we both have really like open minds when it comes to music, but there isn't one thing that's just like highlighting stuff from the underground, from mid-level rock.
Have you ever thought about doing something?
We've talked about it.
You know how Rollins does it? Rollins does, what does he do every Sunday? He's got a weekly show where he picks all the music, all obscure, cool shit, you know, weird old Stooges songs, you know, like whatever he wants.
We both have radio shows on Sirius Radio currently, and yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think many people actually even listen to that.
The thing about the Sirius thing, you have to listen to it when it comes on. Yeah. You know, if you have it on something where people can just access it at any time.
It's hard. It's also hard because I think that they're part of the problem, actually.
Sirius?
Yeah. Like the way that they've programmed the 4 or 5 rock channels. Like there's a channel on there called The Spectrum. Dan has a show on there. And it's like the AAA channel, which would be like KCRW here or whatever. Like the morning becomes eclectic. I'm trying to think what song it was exactly that I heard, but they started tapping in. Like this should be a format that's highlighting like, you know, I think music that's current, music that's coming out, you know what I mean? Like, and they were playing like a couple of U2 songs on there the other day. I'm like, this is a band that plays the Rose Bowl. Why the fuck are you playing them on the fucking AAA, you fucking asshole? You know what I mean? Like, seriously. Yeah. And then I go and I look to the alternative station, and the alternative station is playing like pop music. You know what I mean? Like literally pop music. And then you go to the alternative channel, and they're playing like 5 or 6 artists, or the indie channel. There's like I don't know. There's like underrepresentation of I mean, let me put it this way. I went to France this summer for a month. I always wanted to take this trip, my family and I, we went to the south of France, rented a car, and I decided I didn't even hook my phone up to the car for weeks. I just, right when I turned it on, I scanned the radio and I heard a song I liked. You know, like, what the fuck is that? On this channel called Radio Nova, which is a nationwide, not digital, terrestrial station in France. I heard this song. I was like, what is that, man? I was like, oh, man, that's like a new song by Damon Albarn from Blur, from a record called Africa Express. I never heard. It's amazing, this song. I was like, how is that not played anywhere in America? I listened to this channel every day for the whole trip, and every single day, I heard maybe 2 songs in like 21 days that I knew. It was all new. It was all current. Some of it was classic, but even the classic stuff, it was like a Janis Joplin song I'd never heard. It was like true. I felt like I entered a different dimension. And then I came back to the U.S. and I put on my satellite radio. I was like, why am I hearing the same fucking bullshit? There's so much good shit out there. And even when I go to the algorithm, my algorithm I was sitting with this guy named John Vanderslice the other day, who's a well-known indie producer. We were looking at our algorithms, our predetermined Spotify thing. And every single thing was something that I had listened to already, except for one artist, and it was something I didn't even care for. Like, with all the technology, with all the ways to hear all the millions of songs on Spotify, they still haven't figured out how to satiate someone's desire to hear new music. Do you know?
Do you think it's because they try to program those channels strictly to be commercially viable? They just want to make money from it, and they feel like if they put U2 or an old Elton John song on it and you're flipping through the channels, you'll stay on it, even if it doesn't match the format that you're looking for.
I think that they've gotten their ass so far into metrics and statistics that they've stopped any sort of actual curation using taste. And the only way you get to something worthwhile is through taste. I mean, like,
it's really the opposite process that should take place. It should be you build the art up and then the business files behind it. But instead, it's like you have this giant business that you have to keep feeding. So you have to sell more and have as many channels that are as commercially viable as possible.
Look,
whatever our numbers.
Man, I've had a show on that channel. I've had a show on that with that company for 5 years. I do it for free. I don't get paid. 5 years every month. I had this one artist that I worked with. I was like, I really think you should consider this for something that you might want to put on a playlist. Really, like, this isn't some payola shit. It's been 5 years. And they're like, she doesn't have the social media numbers we're looking for. Oh God. I was like, you know what? That means that what you're adding is just some dumbass that's good at social media. Like, I mean, yes. I mean, if that's what qualifies you to get on the radio, then we're all fucked. And I think
they should have a better social media, so they don't have to think about that. So when they find a new artist that's great, you pump up their social media with your social media, and then you put them on your network, and people tune in. And if you have a trustworthy list of people, if you continue to recommend really good artists, they go, "Oh, holy shit!"
Well, I think
it's got good taste.
I think that you're not. I think that the social media thing is a lot of it. I mean, I think it's fake.
The numbers that the people have?
I think the numbers are fake. I think that it there's a couple of these, like, kind of like, I don't want to name names because I don't want to talk shit about anybody, but it's like this form of music that it's like pop, rap thing that it's always like some white dude with tattoos all over his fucking face that just came out of nowhere. And like it's always like their social media is always like, man, I've cleaned up my act. I'm so glad to be alive. I'm bringing new music to you soon. But they never had a hit. But like they have like 500,000 likes on this shit. Right. And you go look at who's liking it. It's all like mindless kids. You know what I mean? Not to say that that's bad, but I'm saying, like, you can't, as an adult, like, program a radio station, look at that and be like, this means something. You know what I mean?
This means we have to put this music on.
I mean, honestly, if you go back to 1991, right, to when Nirvana's Nevermind came out, like, they didn't have the equivalent of social media shit. They didn't have shit going on. They had a fucking song that just knocked everybody across the fucking face. And because the programmers are looking at these other dumb metrics, they're not going to get that song across. I mean, like, Billie Eilish, I think, thing is pretty cool, actually. And but I think there's a Billie Eilish to be found every month. You know what I mean? It's not that. There's so much good music. And to have to go to France to hear American music on the radio is insane.
Well, why don't you curate something like this and put it on the internet? It seems like a simple solution. You have such like strong tastes. And
Well,
you have a love for this kind of music, and you're already doing it on Sirius for zero money.
That's why we're here, Joe, because we need someone to give us the opportunity.
Well, young Jamie's he'll help you. We'll get it all set up.
Hey, speaking of young Jamie, we're playing a festival in Vegas on Saturday.
Oh shit!
And Lil Wayne is going on before us.
Oh shit!
Which isn't the first time that's happened. That's a good story. We'll
Do you
tell
like him? Is he a nice
Lil
guy?
Wayne?
Yeah, I would never met him personally, but his music's cool. But we've got Big Wayne to come out with us
You have
afterward.
Oh, okay.
Wayne
Good move.
Wayne Newton.
Oh no shit!
Yeah. We like
In
if,
Vegas.
We're like, if we got Lil Wayne before us, we have to have Big Wayne with us. So we booked that Wayne Newton.
Is he gonna sing a song?
He's gonna sing Lonely Boy.
Shane? Lonely Boy? Holy shit! Holy shit!
So you should time your psychedelics to be peaking right about then.
Dude, that
Like
sounds
12:40
amazing.
a.m.
That sounds amazing.
I know.
Oh my god!
We played this festival with Lil Wayne. It was called the Virgin Mobile Fest, and it was a free
Fest, yeah, in Baltimore.
Yeah, tickets were free. They paid us. They paid bands well and everything. The Stooges played. We got to hang out with the Stooges, and which was amazing because we're backstage and like the Ashton brothers are sitting there, chain smoking, like arguing about how to change like a catalytic converter. And I'm like, this is so fucking Detroit, man. This is amazing. And they're so real. I was like, this is fucking
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man. I'm just in awe of just like this shit. And, and then a couple hours later, Lil Wayne's supposed to go on the same stage as us.
Right before us.
Right before us. And the stage manager's like, absolutely no buses near the stage. So
Because it was a horse track. It was like a well manicured horse track. You couldn't pull a bus on the track.
So we had to park our shit like way across the field or whatever, and we go over on the golf cart, whatever, and Lil Wayne's supposed to be done. He's not even there yet. And we're like, what the fuck's happening? And then so he shows up. The bus rolls up right to the stage, right across the track.
Giant like dents in the track.
And him and I'm not joking, 30 of his friends get off the bus probably and just immediately go right to the stage. Everybody except for Lil Wayne, music starts playing from like a CD player. And they play a whole set. And we're supposed to be on at this time. So we're looking at the clock, like our set's almost done and they're still playing, like what the fuck's happening? And then it all ends with like him getting an electric guitar and like I don't even know what the fuck he was doing, but it wasn't playing it, but it was loud and it was like people were. I think he thought that like he could pretend to be a guitar player at a festival and people would understand it, like would just not know that it wasn't good. And I was just like, this is fucking crazy. And kind of half the crowd kind of bought it. I'm like. Which is also good for my anxiety, which is like, you don't even have to be good anymore at guitar. But then we're like, our sets, what do we do now? No, the stage manager's like, well, obviously you're going to get paid. And we're like, obviously. And like, well, you need to play a full set or 3 songs. I'm like, no one paid for a ticket. We're playing 3 songs. Motherfuckers, we're out of here. So maybe he does that again this time. So if he does, like you might get there and only see us play Lonely Boy with Wayne Newton, which would be worth the cost of admission.
Why don't you guys have him go on later? Doesn't that make more sense?
Because we have to headline for our egos.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'd probably switch that around. I'd take the hit.
Head to Denver earlier.
It just seems like you're going to wait.
Yeah.
You're just going to wait. Doing a lot of waiting.
We should.
Hey, man, I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to go on 11:15.
I
don't want to go to 11:15. He woke up at 5 this morning. What's he going to do in a couple of days?
He's a huge act too. It's not like he can't headline things.
Well, he just left the Blink-182 tour. I read because the people don't at the arena shows. Obviously, people don't all get there for the support band.
Oh,
so he was playing like half full room and I think left. We could give him a full room, man.
yeah.
I'll take that hit because we could go play blackjack for an hour. Wayne Newton might not be available though.
Who set that tour up?
That festival?
Yeah.
Oh, the Blink-182 thing?
Yeah. Who set it up with you guys?
What? What tour?
With the thing you're doing, the show you're doing with Lil Wayne.
It's a festival, so it's curated by a talent buyer, usually, in connection with like AEG or Live Nation. So.
Just seems an odd pairing.
Yeah, festivals now are odd. I mean, I think it's cool to have
Odd pairings.
odd pairing, and it's like I said, 11 years ago we had the same pairing with Lil Wayne. But I think I do think the festival thing has gotten a little bit. It's getting it's festivals are kind of for younger people. So that because of that, there's a lot more. There's like a lot more pop kind of stuff. I think we're one of the few rock bands playing the whole festival. Really, I mean, one of the few bands with a drum set. That's for sure. It's a strange time, man.
Do you enjoy these festivals? I mean, why do you guys do them at this point? Do you feel like
I don't think we're going to do that many coming up. I
Yeah.
think we're kind of. I think this might be one of the last ones we do for a while.
Because I would just think at this point, if I was you guys, I just want to do my own shit.
We pulled out of Woodstock
For that reason.
for that reason.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want that to be our first show back in 4.5 years.
It was more money than we'd ever been paid for a show. Our agent was like, "What the? What? Are you sure you want to? What? And I'm like, cancel it."
We had Be
It took
Real.
him 4 days of him checking. Like, "Are you sure?" We're like,
Wow.
cancel it. It's not going to be cool. B, I don't want to play that as our first show back. And he's like, well, there's a good chance it's going to get canceled. And if you cancel it, you're not going to get paid. I was like, why would we want to headline a festival that gets canceled? Like, it makes us look like we can't. Like, fuck.
Is this your agent?
Yes.
That's hilarious. They're trying to get you paid for something that might get canceled.
Well, I
That
was
is
like,
hilarious.
I don't feel comfortable taking money like
Pat,
that.
we got a guarantee.
Yeah.
We got a guarantee, Pat. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
Which year was this? Which year Woodstock?
this one.
This one. Okay. Be Real showed us footage of the one that he was at, which was how many years ago? Quite a few.
I saw him there.
Insane.
I
did
saw
you
that
see
performance. I was there
when
with
they
my
stole
brother.
the sneakers. He crowd surfed and they took his
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
People came to different shows with
I saw
his shoes
third
and he
base.
signed them.
I saw
You saw
Cypress
third base.
Hill.
Wow.
I saw, it was pretty wild.
looks
and
like-
it ended in flames.
It looks like chaos. There's too many people. You got a helicopter folks in. It's like all the cars are blocking the highway. Like, this is a shit show. Do they do it the same way?
I just remember Korn headline one night, and it was just like a sea of fucking people, and it was so dark, and it was like ominous. You know what I mean? It's just fucking wild.
And they all had that haircut that went on back then, where you'd shave like the sides and the back, and then pull the top back. You know that?
A lot of angst.
And the
There's a
metal
lot of
ball,
angst.
the metal ball necklaces.
Metal ball necklaces? I missed that one.
It was like, I don't know, ball bearings. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, sure, ball bearings.
Oh, that's big in Akron, at least. I worked at a record store when that Korn record came out in 1999, and it's when I first really got a glimpse at how fucked we are. Because there's like a Modest Mouse record had come out, and like I sold like 2 or 3 copies of it, and there's just like droves of morons coming in. It's like, I need the new Korn record. I was like, we had boxes upon boxes. Like, fuck, man, we're fucked. And I went into the bathroom, and I was and thinking about this in the bathroom. That place was just covered in like pornography, and I was like, this is like so fucked up. And then the movie Idiocracy came out, and I was like, we're fucking living in this shit already. And then the last 5 years have happened. I was like, we're fucking so deep into this shit, man. We're so deep.
Yeah, it's happening at the same time they're cracking the egg that is artificial intelligence, trying to get that fucking thing to
Dude, they
hatch.
need it for certain areas. I went to this rural county fair outside of Nashville a couple weeks ago because my wife wanted to take our baby to see the little piglets and stuff. So we go into that, like the 4-H kind of area, and it's cute and like, you know, real motherfuckers who work their asses off in there. But then we go into the actual fair part and it is these people I sold Korn records to like 20 years ago are now there. And dude, I bought, they had lemonade, right? Which is basically like crunchy lemonade. There's so much sugar in this shit. Like everyone's getting like diabetes on the spot. I ordered 3 large lemonades. They're $6 a piece, right? I gave the woman a $20 bill, and she gives me back $15 and starts talking to me. And as she's doing this, she's like talking about fucking, I'm not joking, Wheel of Fortune, just to no one. And I'm like, this shit
Oh my God.
I was like, I asked Michelle, I was like, Michelle, what do I do? Do I give her, she's like, don't correct this shit. Like, it's going to be way too complicated. Just take it as like, just take the money. Don't feel guilty.
Oh my God.
You're going to embarrass her. She doesn't even know what's happening. She's talking about fucking Vanna White. And it's like, fuck. And I looked around, I was like, man, there's a lot of fucking people on pills in this country or something.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and then that's where I was like, I started going this rant on the way home. My baby's trying to sleep. I'm like, how is Bernie Sanders talking about paying back college loans when there's people who don't have a middle school or high school education? You know what I mean? A lot of this comes down to just fucking education. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's a really weird way to talk about spending tax dollars. Is on paying back college loans.
Well, I think he just wants to free people from debt. The problem with college loans is people sign up for them when you're young and dumb and you don't exactly know what you're doing. And we're getting to a point in our life where senior citizens...
We knew that we needed to drop out because we wouldn't get a fucking job from Akron University's philosophy department.
Yeah, we started the band with debt. We both had debt from school.
We both had debt.
Almost everybody does.
I actually went to this art school for a minute.
They let recruiters come into the fucking high schools. It seems criminal to me.
It's kind of Weasley. They're
kind of
talking you into something.
Check it out. I went to this school.
Maybe a good thing for you.
I went to this school for 2 quarters called the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, right? And I didn't know that it wasn't accredited. I didn't know shit. They came and they recruited me, and I couldn't get into any art school. I had horrible grades in math. So I tested into like 4 years of remedial math. So I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. I like photography or whatever. And after 2 quarters, I had a teacher who just like came up to me in the morning, like after a 10 o'clock or 10:30 class or whatever, like reeked of whiskey. And he said, I need to talk to you. And he busted out his portfolio, which is all at this point, this is like 1998. This shit's from the mid 70s, dusty. All the colors are faded. He's like, do you want to do this with your life? And it's photographs of cabinets. He's like, I photographed cabinets. You get the fuck out of here, kid. Basically.
Oh my God.
He's like, this degree is meaningless. It's unaccredited. You want to fucking be loading cameras the rest of your fucking life? He's like, you're the only one in here that gives a fuck. And I was like, you fucking serious? He's like, I'm fucking serious. And I went home and I was like, Dad, I think I made a mistake. And this school was like $8,000 a quarter. It was fucking expensive. And
wow.
And I dropped out. So then I drop out, and I had this whole other experience. But fast forward to 2014, we're on tour. We're about to go to Pittsburgh. I'm talking to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. They're like, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, I love Pittsburgh. From Akron, 2 hours away. I actually used to live there. I went to this school. Actually, it's one of the biggest scams of all fucking time. And they're like, what school? Like, Art Institute of Pittsburgh. And like, it became like local news for weeks. Like, so I did a pre-tour interview with the same writer a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey man, remember that interview we did about and you were talking shit on the Art Institute of Pittsburgh? I was like, yeah. He's like, they went out of business. And I'm like, literally they kind of hold you accountable for it. Whoa. And I'm like, well, how does a college go out of business? Because they're scamming fucking kids. Oh, it was a scam. A lot of college is a fucking scam.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like, I know I had a relative who was going to I've paid for a lot of fucking liberal arts schools. You would be surprised how much I've paid for. I never went to a school, but I help out family members and shit. I paid for a year at Oberlin, which is not fucking cheap. You know what I mean? I should get a fucking honorary degree from this shit. I've paid for this shit, but I don't have a fucking education. I got asked to pay for some of Lewis and Clark, and it's fucking $60,000 a year school in Portland. Man, and there's a school called Oberlin, super liberal arts school, really cool radio station, a lot of cool people go to the conservatory, but very liberal school. And Dan and I are pretty liberal motherfuckers, and it's not far from Akron. It's close. So I would drive to Oberlin.
They had good shows there.
Yeah, 60 miles. My girlfriend went there at the time, and I would go see concerts and all kinds of shit. But every time I would go there, like all these kids that were like from New York City, rich kids from New York or whatever, would be like, oh man, I would express an opinion about something, and they'd be like, man, you're just a townie, dude, like just a townie. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? You just your parents have a bigger bank account than mine. That's the only difference, you fucking asshole. And I don't feel bad that you don't have a job after you have a fucking degree here. You fucking dick. Like,
Jesus
don't.
Christ, this is so specific.
I mean, I'm serious. I don't feel bad that you don't have a job after going to college. I was like, what? I mean, I don't know. I was like fully prepared to, when I dropped out of school, if the Black Keys thing hadn't worked, start a lawn care business. I don't know. Wash people's fucking windows. I don't really know. I wasn't going to write papers. I wasn't going to write academic papers. I knew that much. Believe it or not.
This is a tour, basically. This is what tour
This is what you guys do?
Yeah.
This is it, man.
Dude, you get wound up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You get wound
I
up.
don't mean it though.
over
I don't.
Nothing.
I don't mean it, dude. My stepmom or my stepdaughter has her friends over, right? And I'm like, I was like, she had her birthday party. She had three of her friends over. They're all 14, and they were over for 2 hours already. It was like a beautiful day in the summertime, and like I go up into their room, and there's no sound. I'm like, they're all on their devices, and I'm like, you guys need to give me your fucking devices. Get out of the room. I'm like so jacked up, like Sergeant Slaughter, and I'm like, as I'm mad, I'm like, I don't mean to sound this irritated. I don't know why I do. I just don't mean to sound that irritated. I really don't care as much as I sound, but I need to show you that there's other stuff to do, and you guys should be hanging out. And then like it was weird because I was telling them like, you know, when I was a kid we used to watch Troll 2 and like we would have sleepover watch Troll 2 and make fun of it.
Troll 2 the movie?
The movie, yeah. So I'm like, I go up there like late at night, like 1 in the morning. They're all watching Troll 2, but the thing is like they're deep into the movie. I'm like, oh my god, we always turned it off after the first hour. You guys don't. I forgot to tell you, you guys are gonna warp your brains watching all of Troll 2.
I've never seen Troll 2. I only saw Troll 1. What's the difference?
Well, see, there is a movie I think called Troll, but it's not related.
They're not related?
No, Troll 2 isn't related. Troll
How is
2
that possible? Imagine like there's a Troll 1 and I'm going to call my movie Troll 2. But hey,
Man.
Troll's my movie. No, it's about trolls.
I could be wrong.
movie.
I could be wrong, but I really believe Troll 2 isn't related to Troll 1
That
at
is a
all.
hilarious thing. If that's true, that is a hilarious thing to do to somebody.
I don't think that Troll 1 even exists actually.
Really?
Yeah.
How is there only Troll 2?
I don't know, but this is a big thing actually.
Is that a real screenshot?
Yeah, this is a huge thing.
You know, this is
Oh my god! Oh my god!
This
That
was-
is so goofy looking.
well, I kind of, you know, there's this video store when we were kids. Videos were a big deal for us actually, and
Oh yeah, Highland Square Video.
Jamie, find out if there's a Troll 1. Because
yeah.
if there's only a Troll 2, it's somehow or another it makes it even more
I
magical.
don't think there's a Troll 1, man. Search Troll 1, it just doesn't.
Maybe this one, 1986.
No, it's not related though, man.
No, but there was a movie about these giant trolls, or was it?
It's like Leonard
Wasn't
Part. It's
there-
like Leonard Part 6. There's no Leonard Part 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 1.
But that's hilarious. It's called Troll 2. There was one movie. I want to say it was a foreign movie that was really ridiculous about these giant trolls a few years back, and it was pretty stupid too. I thought this was it, but this is a different one.
Well, that's back in the time when like things were made that were horrible, and it was almost like people didn't realize how bad they were. And,
Oh, look at this. It has no real connection to the original Troll.
Yeah.
Which is his Troll 1986. This is not the one that I saw. I saw some other one. The trolls were giant. They were like as big as trees. They were like in the distance.
Yeah, man.
It's a revelation.
Something about great bad movies though. They're fun.
Well, you know how like the secret knowledge of things, like videos getting passed around before YouTube, and it's no different than music was the same way. It's like you get
absolutely.
this weird record would come across your like the first like Mad Professor dub record, which you would never find in Akron anywhere. You get like a dub copy of that, but it was like that with videos too. Like
Jessica White.
yeah,
Jessica White. Yeah.
Jessica White. Yeah, Pat.
Yeah.
Were you the first one to show me that?
yeah, or Steve Bannock was.
That
blew
fucking
our
documentary, The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never seen it, but while they were making that, we knew someone who was in touch with Jessica because we were into Jessica based on that PBS thing from the early 90s.
We've got 4-track recordings where we're basically quoting lines
Quoting
from the original
I mean,
documentary.
we were watching this stuff in like 95, 96.
Look at him.
Yeah, well, check it out. We were playing our first show at the Ryman, and
Our very first show at the Mother Church.
at the Mother Church of Country Music, we had Jesco come down from West Virginia and
Open
dance,
for us.
and he got so fucking drunk. There's video of
He
it.
got shit hammered. He took his shirt off, started twiddling his nipples,
he-
and
he-
started faking masturbation. And then his sister was dragging him off stage.
No one since Hank Williams has
Look
been.
at that! Oh wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah,
Wow.
he literally got thrown out the back door with his shoes fell off.
But they were his grandfather's.
Yeah, and then like someone accused us of stealing his shoes. I was like, the dude fucking lost his shoes. I didn't steal his shoes.
Did you have interactions with him, or did it just
No,
go
man.
on?
No.
I spoke to him a little bit.
But you guys organized this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Didn't you want to say hi to him?
I said hi to him.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah,
But you
he
didn't,
was.
Pat?
I didn't, because by the time he was there, by the time I saw him, he was wasted, and it was
He was wild-eyed.
Whoa.
yeah, it was like for real. Sometimes the joke just gets, it's like, oh, that's not
The joke gets too real.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. I thought he was coming like actually tap and do his shit, but he was just so shit faced he couldn't do it.
Well, I recommended that movie to somebody, and they watched it, and he was like, "Hey, man, why the fuck did you make me watch
Yeah,
that?
what's
That was
wrong with you?"
horrible.
It's like,
Those people live in hell."
I try to show people that, like, oh yeah, this people like, you know, some people will be like, why the fuck would you watch a movie like that? How could you say that's an influence on you? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
West Virginia is a strange place, man, and those people that are, you know, living in trailers and doing a lot of pills, and there's like entire communities have zero hope and insanely poor.
Yeah, that's one of my
That's-
favorite states.
It's so beautiful there. West Virginia.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
The New River is beautiful.
You know.
I dated a girl who lived right there in Steubenville, right on the Dean Martin Highway. And man, it was so pretty. She lived in Ohio and could see Pennsylvania and West Virginia across the river from her front porch. So pretty.
There's something like kind of magical about that state, actually. You go in there and like, oh yeah, this is fucking cool. There's these weird diners. There's, you know, the thing is, it's like there's no industry, so people who don't have jobs, obviously. And then they also, if they own property, the property is completely worthless. It's like a lot of America's like that, you know. And people tend to forget, like a lot of people.
We're so used to seeing it. I mean, we grew up in Akron.
We grew up in Akron.
where the industry. I mean, we have those big rubber money like mansions that are just vacant now. You know,
Yeah, when I'm in like anywhere, including at home in Nashville, I'm like, fuck, the $3 million for that fucking house. It's like, you could buy the whole fucking city block in Akron, $3 million. There's a house for sale in Akron right now that was the co-founder of Goodyear Tires mansion. It's 1.7 million. It's like 18,000 square feet. It's fucking insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a 3-bedroom apartment around the corner from our hotel in Santa Monica. What would you take?
Same price.
Yeah.
One of them's 100 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them is made out of all materials you can get at Home Depot. One of them's hand-carved woodwork.
I'm still surprised that more people haven't left the big cities and moved into places. More people working virtually.
I don't know why they haven't.
I never moved to the big city really. Nashville's the biggest city I've ever lived in.
Nashville's not a big city,
No.
but it's got a good size. There's plenty of folks.
Yeah, there's plenty
But
of
it's
people.
It's like
a cool city.
It feels like the same size to me as Cleveland or Detroit. I know it's slightly bigger population-wise, but footprint-wise, it's smaller, I think. You drive through Cleveland, it takes a long time. That's a long, if you're going lengthwise at least. Otherwise, it's like really short. It's like 2 miles wide, but it's like 30 miles long.
But growing up in Akron, and like you guys had to feel like you were on the outside of the music business, right? Like the business itself was in Nashville and LA and New York, and you know, growing up in a town. Do you think there's an advantage?
Well, we did, but oddly, Pat and I had a connection to the real music business, both in our family. My cousin was Robert Quine, guitar player, who played with Lou Reed and Richard Hell and the Voidoids, one of the first punk guitar players, really influential. And then Pat's uncle's Ralph Carney, saxophone player, played on all the Tom Waits records, B-52 records, all kinds of records. So it was weird.
And these guys weren't like financially successful, but they were critically lauded kind of individuals.
They were professional musicians.
Yeah. So they
on records, and it was just odd.
So it's
Yeah.
We grew up around the block from each other.
So what we want, I mean, we looked at that. We're like, the idea of making a record was what we want. That's all we wanted to do, was make a record. And then, you know, by the time we were selling at like 150, 200 seat rooms, we were like, we fucking have made it. This is it. This is fucking awesome. This is what we wanted. And then we would be like, what if we tried to sell out the 400 seat room? What if, you know, it would just kind of slowly went. And then finally we got to this point where we were like, well, what if we tried to play Madison Square Garden? And our manager was like, yeah, you could do it. And we're like, well, let's do it. And then we did 2 nights there. And that's literally what started from playing our tour history, like in Brooklyn or in New York, was like we opened for a ska band on a Monday night in Brooklyn for $50.
We drove all the way from Akron to get there.
8 hours each way. Made $50. That was our first show in New York, and
Wow.
and yeah, that to the fucking Barclays or whatever. But it all started, it was like because it was like, honestly, when we got to the point when we were playing a Troubadour, I was like, we fucking have done it. We fucking got there. And they're like, well, there's another venue down the road,
A little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's always your agent, like, yeah, it's another venue.
Well, that's why someone who doesn't understand anxiety is never going to understand how a person like you, with all that success, could still get weirded out. Do you know? I mean, that's what makes it interesting, like the managing of the mind.
You know, I mean, Dan and I are both pretty confident, but we're not like. We do know. I think you're only as good as your last show, really, and you're only as good as your last record, and you know, you can't just skate by under shit.
Yeah.
So
and we all knew bands growing up that kind of did, right? They had a couple good albums, and then things kind of went off the rails.
Dude, it's like my favorite band is like growing up with Devo, because they're from Akron and they're like this different kind of crazy band, punk band. You know, and
there is something special about Akron, though.
Yeah, there is.
It's something special about Ohio.
Yeah,
but you watch a band like Devo, though. I was going to say get to L.A. and whatever happened there, the change that happened, and there's something. I mean, that's been something that Dan and I have been. I think actively trying to avoid is that kind of thing. You know, but yeah, that's like. I go home to Akron. I fully accept and know that I'm going to get made fun of for certain things. I'm going to, like a real individual, get my shit thrown at me by my friends, and they're going to make fun of me for whatever. Rightfully so. But yeah, Ohio's and the Midwest. It's an inspiring place because it kind of is a vacuum, and the people who are operating there, like 99% of them are operating just because they have no other choice, and they love doing what they're doing music-wise. So you go to New York the first time, and it's like, you know, the smallest little band has a connection to the biggest producer, and it's like that here too, you know. And that's why, like, it's
that's true.
People like a group. Anytime there's like 4 teenagers playing music together here, like A&R comes out, like, got it. We're gonna give you a big deal and get you on MTV. It never fucking works out. I mean, it's like think about like, the amount of fucking bands that have come from Los Angeles. How many great rock and roll bands have come from LA? I mean, seriously, it's a fucking massive city. It's the biggest county in the country. The music industry is here, and. Take the last 20 years of great bands from Los Angeles, you wouldn't have a long list. Same with New York City. You know, if you go the last 40 years, the list doesn't grow that much.
Do you think it's better? That's what I was saying. Do you think it's better to be on the outside? Do you think it's better to be in a city where you're in kind of a small town?
Here's what I think is best. I think if you can really integrate with the music industry peripherally from the outside, it's always best.
How so? What do you mean?
Like, if you end up signing a major label, like, look, we almost signed it. We got some offers early on to sign to major labels, early on, and we did not do it. Mostly because we kept being strung along. Like, the contract will be there in a week. A week would pass. It wouldn't show up. 2 weeks would pass. We'd call. It'll be there next week. Finally, we were like, fuck this. We realized, at the age of 22, we realized if we signed this shit, and they can't get a contract to us to even look at, in 6 weeks, if we make a record, we're gonna be so fucking log jammed. It's like we're never gonna be able to do this shit. So we took the gamble and we signed with a small indie and just kept fucking going, you know. And when we finally went to a major, it was on a subsidiary of a major with a really supportive president, and we were kind of on the outside still. Even though we were inside, we were on the outside. And we were able to do our thing. We've never had an A&R guy sit around and tell us to speed a song up or whatever. But the problem is, if you get in without having some of those boxes ticked, and you get in, you sign a big record deal off the bat, some fucking dumbass who has a communications degree from like fucking Pepperdine is going to be sitting down next to you and be like, I think the hi-hat's too loud, bro. I mean, K-Rock can't play that. The drums are, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And like that right there, when you get those notes coming from some dude that's your A&R guy that doesn't really know what he's doing. I mean, there are good A&R guys, but most of them are these types of dudes.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, man, like, and it's basically what they are doing right then when they're getting in your head and be like, you got to change the hi-hat on the mix, man. What they're saying is, when this record fucking fails, and I can't deliver that any sort of fandom to you, that I'm going to say that you turned the hi-hat down too low, or I turned the hi-hat, you didn't turn it down low enough. There's all cop-outs everywhere. And the only way to get through that is we learned how to make records ourselves in a basement. We had a tape machine, $100 tape machine, and Radio Shack microphones, and we recorded our first record like that. We did our second record like that, our third record like that, our fourth record like that. And finally, we went into the studio with Danger Mouse, and we knew how to run a mixing desk. You know what I mean? We knew what we liked. So if someone came in that wasn't Danger Mouse and was like this, or one of the mixing engineers we've worked with, if someone came in and said the kick drum sounds like shit, we'd be like, fuck off. We know what a kick drum can sound like. We've been doing this. And I think basically, if you can spend the time, get the time, and that's why, like back in the day, it's like, you know, a band takes years to develop. You know what I mean? It took us 8 years before we got a song on the radio of actively making records and touring. And a lot of this stuff set up with labels where they want like a hit on the second record. You know, I'm married to a woman who sold millions and millions of albums, and of songs that she wrote, you know. And when she turned in an Americana record, like Warner Brothers gave her such the runaround, they shelved a record that cost $800,000 to make because they said there wasn't any hits on it. That's no way to be an artist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we've just always avoided that.
So they shelved the record. They just didn't even bother trying to release it to cut their losses?
No, man. And then they charged her for it, and then they drop her. I mean, that's why.
So they shelve it. They never release it.
Yeah, they've never released it.
And they just drop her.
Yeah, dude, that's how they do this shit. The archives of these labels are filled up with shit that's been shelved.
Really?
Hell yeah, man. And
I don't know the business.
Well, I learned all this stuff early on because my uncle Ralph, who Dan mentioned, was signed to Warner Brothers in the late 70s. He made a record with his band called Tin Huey. It sold like 5,000 albums, you know, like failure. And then they gave him like $30,000 to fuck off. And they made a record in between then, and they just fucking shelved it. It happens all the time.
How many good records do they have shelved? What do they do with them ultimately? Like if people know about it.
Dude, I think there's a lot of good records, but I also think
imagine there's probably hundreds.
I think there's a lot of records that started off really good, and then some Pepperdine dude is like, remix this. You need to remix it. You need to do that. You need to add this. You need to do this. Some dude just guessing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not hard to just guess. It's like, if you're like looking at remodeling your kitchen, it's like, and you're an idiot, you just like, put the stove here. Oh, fucked up. Put it over to the left, actually.
Right.
Oh, redo, you know what I mean? But if you're really a producer or a musician that makes records, and you turn in a record, it's so frustrating when you get someone that doesn't know what they're doing coming back like, oh, maybe you should do this. I actually had that happen to me. There's this band called the Sheepdogs, this Canadian band that actually, this record ended up going platinum in Canada. And in the U.S., it never even got pushed to radio. Not even one song. But this guy, Chad Blake, who Dan and I work with all the time, who's mixed our last 4 records, he mixed this record. This guy's like a genius, an audio wizard.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
So
he lives in Wales in a little house. His wife works with horses. He's got a little side room, just a tiny little room, just like half the size of this, and he mixes huge records.
So this guy's he's a badass. This whole record's budget was like $60,000, including them living off of it and shit. So I took the entire budget and and it was spent on a little cheap studio. Of a friend of mine who's going to engineer it, them to live, and the rest of it went to Chad to mix it. So I get the mixes back, and this A&R guy is listening to the mixes and is like, I think the hi-hat is too loud on this song. I'm not joking. And I'm on tour with Dan, and I'm like, I called Danger Mouse. I was like, what do I do? He's like, you know what to do. I was like, send him the same mix and label it mix 4 and tell him it's been lowered. He's like, that's right. but then he's like, you also need to remember, you are fucked now. They will never service this song because that's the cop out. I was like, bullshit. He's like, no, just watch. And it was exactly what happened.
Oh my God.
And I called him like a year later and was like, dude, you're a fucking genius. He's like, oh, well, I've been through this shit.
Wow.
Yeah. Because check it out. If you're an A&R guy, right, you're getting like probably 6 figures. You report to a senior A&R who reports to a vice president who reports to the president. And if you stick your neck out and you say, I want to take $1 million from the fucking machine, and I bet it all on this band, or even $250,000, the odds of any band making it are like probably 1 in 100. I'm talking about even breaking even. So if you're only an idiot would ever really get behind a band that is unproven. Mm-hmm. So your whole job is to deflect blame. You know what I mean? So like that's what the problem is. You know, like if I was going to sign a band and someone offered me, he said I had $1 million budget to sign a new band, like I also wouldn't give them all the money because there was no way I'd make it back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the music industry, dude. It's fucked up. And then you spend years and years and years. And if you're lucky, like Dan and I have lucked out, and then you look back and it's like, I don't even know how it happened. There's all these other factors that come into it, you know. And you go try to help a band. Something that worked for us would never work for another band. So there's no formula to it, and it's really random. It's similar to this shit. As like this chick I know was talking about Ancestry.com and how she doesn't care about her ancestors. And I was like, you don't care about your ancestors? That's interesting because like, think about the odds of you existing. It's like you go back just like 20 generations, then it means that you have like over 1 million grandparents. I think it's like 2 million grandparents in just 20 generations. Like think about all the fucking sperm and eggs and the odds of those, each one fucking happening. It took 2 million people fucking and that happening over and over again to get to your ass. You don't give a fuck about any of it. I think that's just fucking ignorant, honestly. Like, and if you want to buy into the Elon Musk simulation, remember this. That means there's some motherfucker sitting at the simulation who made that motherfucker. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like the simulation had to have been made by some motherfucker. Like there's always something deeper. The thing about any thing is like it's unexplainable. The fact that Dan and I grew up next to each other, the fact that we were close in age, the fact that we have able to put up with each other's shit and find each other amusing, you know, after 30 years of knowing each other, it's all fucking insane.
Well, you guys obviously have a very good balance. Like the two of you
it's been
together.
Up and down, you know, but that has to do with a lot of factors, like we said. You know, not over touring is pretty much the main thing.
That's a big one, right? That wrecks people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can pretty much take all the art out of you, suck all the life out of you, fuck up all your relationships.
Yeah, you just don't want to be out there anymore.
No,
you just get tired. You want to be home.
It can sour you to the whole thing.
You don't really buy into the simulation, do you?
Me? Fuck no.
Not at all.
But I don't. I mean, I like what this same person was saying to me that they're an atheist, and I was like, that's fine. You're allowed to believe that, but you also have to accept that there's a possibility that's not true.
Yes.
And they're like, no, that's what I believe. But then they went on to say that they believe in demons, and I was like, you got to. I think that. My rationale about all this stuff is that it's simple. I was talking to my stepdaughter, who's so smart and so sweet and really changed my life in a lot of ways. And we were swimming in the pool, talking about life, you know. And it's one of these conversations that it's like she's like, "What do you think that there's a God?" And so she asked me, and I said, "Well, we don't go to church or anything." And I said, I don't know. but I was like, this is something interesting to think about. I was like, whenever I think about that, I try to think about the end of the universe, like the very end, like the edge. And I can't picture it. I was like, I can't picture it. I can't picture like infinity. You know, I can't grasp that at all. And I was like, the mere fact that we can't grasp infinity would lead someone like maybe Elon to believe that there's a purposely that was left off in some sort of simulation or whatever. But maybe that would be the argument. But I think that the fact that I can't picture it, maybe I'm just an idiot, but it makes it that I think that there's maybe something more. There's definitely something more to it. That possibility is way open. But I do think. What do you think?
I had this conversation with a guy who was actually an expert on it. This guy, Nick Bostrom, and he was trying to explain to me that because of probability, it's more likely or very likely that we're in a simulation because of the probability of someone eventually creating it, and that it's very possible that we're in it right now, and more probable than not.
But then what does that I mean?
I don't know.
A simulation has to be a simulation. Why a simulation of what from what?
Well, here's something I know for sure. Okay, this is what I know for sure. This is by my own experiences, that we are the only people on this planet that have ever gotten to 2019. This is where we are. We know there's a history behind us. We know that this is the peak. We're at 2000. You walked in at a freaky time, my man. We're at we're at 2019 right now. If we know we exist. We know we have culture. We know we have incredible technology. We don't have any idea if we're the only ones. It's likely that there's other life forms out there. It's likely there's other intelligent life out there. But there might not be. It might be that this is a crazy situation that happens incredibly rarely, where you have a planet that's this close to the sun, where these life forms figure out how to fuck with matter in an incredible way. And they start flying and sending things through the air, that videos that instantly get to your phone. This might not ever happen. This might only happen here. It might happen here and in versions of here, which if you believe in infinity, you have to believe there's infinite versions of this. So there's infinite versions of life. So it's almost built in mathematically that infinity is so big, there's so many possibilities that everything that you have ever recorded has also been recorded by you in another place with infinite variations of each individual song, infinite variations of each album, that there's infinite versions, and that infinite versions of each version. And so it's insane. The whole thing's impossible for our little ant brains to wrap around it. That's possible too. It's not unlikely that it's a simulation. I mean, it's possible it's a simulation. But it's also possible that this is as far as anything's ever gotten. Because we know this is as far as we've ever gotten.
Pat and I are starting an intergalactic publishing company.
Yeah. We've signed futures. We have future rights.
Hasn't Scientology signed you to some universe contract for like 1 billion years? Isn't that like part of the deal?
I think if you're on the Sea Org, it's like 1 billion year service.
Yeah, I think it's 1 billion years, and I think it's for the whole universe. You can't even work on other planets.
I think that it's interesting to think about whenever you talk about something that you don't know the answer to, like this simulation or this mirrored dimensions and stuff. I think it's all fascinating and it's all possible, man. But I do think when it comes down to it, like part of the thing that causes anxiety. It's part of it is like accepting that something is real, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, because sometimes when you're having a panic attack or something, you're like, is this even fucking happening? Is this even fucking real? And I think being in the moment as much as possible, when I really truly feel like I'm living in the present, I really feel like you can really feel how special life is.
Yes.
And how, if I was a billionaire and I married the same chick twice, I would think I was living in a fucking simulation too. That's what I think about Elon. It's like, he's really fucking smart, but he's a billionaire and he married the same chick twice. Like, dude, you can marry anybody you wanted.
He gave it a chance. He wanted to make it better.
I don't know, dude.
They gave it one more chance.
He might be living in a simulation.
Well, he might be interfacing with a different dimension than us.
No, he might be.
You think about all the different shit that guy's invented?
You know, my stepdaughter went to his school for a while.
Uh-oh.
Ad Astra. It was a really amazing experience for her.
I believe, yeah, whatever schools raised that dude. What is Ad Astra? What is that?
That's a school he has.
He has his own school?
For some of his children and for some of the employees of his companies.
Really?
Uh-huh.
He's got his own school?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. I just don't understand how that's all possible. How can you dig tunnels under LA, make batteries, make solar panels, make electric cars, make rockets, shoot them into space, plan to colonize Mars? Like,
yeah,
what?
and then marry the same chick twice.
That's why he did it. He didn't have any time to find a new chick.
I think it might prove that he's a genius. Just that.
Maybe. He gave it a shot. What if he married her twice and it worked out amazing? Like the second time,
maybe
they appreciate each other more.
I think it's worked out really amazing in like 1,000 different dimensions, both marriages.
Yes.
That's why he did it.
Infinite dimensions.
He did it because he needed it to work out in those other dimensions.
I'll create random possibility. Yeah, for no reason. Just create random possibilities in each and every direction. With every decision you make, the universe expands in infinite different directions and infinite different versions of you. That sounds terrifying, but so does falling asleep. You know, falling asleep is weird.
Yeah.
We're all agreeing every night I'm looking forward to literally not existing. So
Yeah.
I stop being there for 8 hours. I don't see anything. I have no idea what's going on around me.
I think about that all the time.
It's the weirdest fucking thing people do, man. We all are afraid to die, but no one's afraid to sleep. Everybody's looking forward to sleep.
I always have a couple reoccurring dreams. And but I had one last night that was fucking insane.
A reoccurring one?
No, it was based on something that sort of is. I have this dream where it was reoccurring where I'm in a house that I'm vaguely familiar with, but there's all these additions that I discover, and they're always they're usually either really rickety and dangerous or like really beautiful and completely need to be fixed up and covered, like Scooby-Doo house type thing. Last night I had this dream where I was in a house I used to own with my wife, and there was a home invasion, and I had something that they needed, and they basically told me that if I had it hidden, and I said they're going to come back if I didn't give it to them, they were going to kill me, and I was like trying to figure out how to keep this thing hidden, and I woke up from it like, what the fuck? Of course I had to pee like I do right now. But
Go pee, man.
I want to go.
No worries. We're going to talk about you when you're gone. But all good things. And he's gone. Dude, he gets worked up. I would have had no idea.
Really?
No, I would have never thought he gets that worked up.
Oh, yeah.
He just swings.
He sits on the bus, and there's like 9, 10, 11, 12 hours between each gig, and he just
Dude,
he can stew.
He sounds like a comic.
Yeah.
He really does. Like
he's been my, our personal comic for 20 years. Seriously. I mean, he's funny as hell.
He should definitely do a podcast. That would be a huge podcast. Him just talking shit about things. Him just analyzing what's wrong with the world.
I've told him that.
The corn people are coming, though. You know that, right? They're coming for him. You can't do that to them. 20 years of insults on corn people. No!
I worked at the same record shop that he did.
Yeah?
Quonset Hut Records. I was there when Corn came out. They had
Record
midnight
shops.
sale. People were lining up at midnight around the block.
Kids don't understand that there was something interesting about going to a record store and seeing records that you had no idea what they were. You'd pick up the album and you'd look at it. You'd look at the artwork and like, what is this? And you flip it over to the back, and sometimes you got roped in. Sometimes you got roped in just by a cool album cover.
It was a beautiful time. Beautiful medium.
Do you remember when there were certain stores that would have those little stations, and you'd have a button, and you had headphones, and you could like put the headphones on and listen to an album for a couple seconds?
I feel like I spent my whole life doing that.
Yeah.
Pat and I went from city to city, went to all the record shops.
Did they listen? They let you listen to the whole album there?
Yeah.
You could just stand and listen. It wasn't just like snips of it. It was the whole thing?
Oh, you listen to the whole thing. Yeah, the good record shops were all like that. And they always had great recommendations. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. It's troubling, like Pat says. I mean, he's thought about it quite a bit.
Well, it is, and it's also interesting for new young artists that don't have any distribution. They just get viral from SoundCloud or from Twitter. That can happen.
We are just finding out those metrics. They just don't quite matter.
They don't quite matter in what way?
They don't sell tickets. You know, then you don't.
What about guys like? I mean, it's not your genre, but isn't that what Chance the Rapper did, or Tyler the Creator? Which one is it?
Chance the Rapper.
Yeah.
Didn't he do it all from the internet?
Sure.
And he's really huge, right?
Yes, he's known as an independent artist, but
He did it.
yes.
And Tyler the Creator is a totally different
Totally
thing.
different thing, yeah.
Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah,
Sorry for the mix-up.
Tyler, and I are in touch every once in a while.
Whenever there's a "the" in between
Yeah,
your
it's
first
cool.
and your last
Comma.
name, I get
Yeah.
Tyler the
Yeah,
Creator,
Chance
the Rapper.
Well,
I'm
Patrick
like,
the drummer.
those are like pool hall nicknames,
Yeah.
like Ray the Fireman.
Yeah, I don't know much about. I mean, I think the Chance is a good example of like breaking into the industry in a different thing.
Do you think that
different way? But I also think that like it's just interesting to see how all this stuff shakes out 10 years from now. Like who's going to be around? What matters? I mean, back to my wife, Michelle Branch. She sold millions of records, and she's an insanely talented individual, an insanely amazing person. And her audience was commercial radio, top 40. And the thing about top 40 is it's the same type of person that goes to watch whatever's popular on television or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like someone who watches Keeping Up with the Kardashians is probably not familiar with Gilligan's Island. You know what I mean? And 5 years from now, when there's something different than Keeping Up with probably not. That show will probably still be around. But you know what I'm saying? It's whatever's freshest and newest. And so you end up if you end up developing a pop. This is why we were talking about not wanting to get played on the radios, because it's a different type of fan. It's a less personal type of fan when you get played on top 40. Mm-hmm. It's like when I would go through like certain friends of mine's parents' records, they'd have like all these records, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to listen to that, used to listen to that, used to listen to that. And I go through Dan's dad's records or my dad's records, my dad would be still listening to that shit. The point is that these people were buying like Billy Ocean records, and my dad was buying like Cream records, and he was a fan of music, and this person was a passive pop fan,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you're experiencing is when you try to compare pop, maybe some of this pop stuff has some sort of credibility because it's independent or whatever, but I think it's a very weird thing trying to figure it out. Like I think booking a festival nowadays is probably fucking really crazy. That's why the Woodstock thing was they didn't know what to do. They booked, like when we were told about the festival, it was like we were going to headline Saturday night. When the lineup came out, it was like Chance the Rapper, us, and I forget who else was on it, but there were a couple people. There were like 3 headliners, and we're like, that's insane. Like, what are you thinking? You're going to sell 150,000 tickets at $700 a pop? You fucking idiot! Just do a festival for 30,000 people. Do 2 festivals, 2 weekends. Do a pop festival, do a rap festival, do a rock, do whatever it is. But don't get their obligation per night was like 10 million in guarantees or something. So. You fucking dumbass. It's like, you're like, I wonder why they fucked up. It's like, well, that guy fucked up the first Woodstock, and it's 50 years later, he hasn't fucking figured it out yet. Is that 50 years? It's like, well, you'll get it in 50 years, dude. Mike, you'll get it. 50 years from now, you'll figure it out, buddy. It's like, that idea of just repeating shit that doesn't make sense is like, we've all done it, but like, even Elon's done it.
Do you think that the music business is the way it is because it started out a different thing?
Dude,
it was a different thing. It was how they made the records. It was the actual records. They would put them in the stores, but all that shit's gone now. So it's just mostly downloads.
The music business is the way it's set up the way it is because there are independent people who have made very successful careers without having to engage the machine, right? But traditionally, if you wanted to sell out Madison Square Garden, traditionally, there are people like Fish or whoever who have done it based on the backs of whatever things that they've done. But traditionally, if you want to make a record and you want to get to Madison Square Garden, you need promotion, you need radio, you need exposure, you need publicity. Now almost all of that stuff you can get for free if you have like enough bullshit up your sleeve on social media, and you can get enough 13-year-olds streaming your shit. You get to fucking MSG. Without a label, without a publicist, without any of that shit. A band like us in the situation that we're in now, like, you know, we're in a position to be able to look at the music industry and be like, this is just crazy that we're paying this person this much money to do what they're doing. This is fucking insane. And like we can really have open conversations with like people. Like, we're not giving you Warner Brothers $5 a record to bundle this shit, because we're paying you to be on your record label so that we get a fucking number on SoundScan that ultimately you'll brag about. Like, fuck all this, fuck it. But you can't do that. That's a way that this power structure is still set up. Is that if you're on a label, most bands sign these record deals, they got to give that fucking money back to the label. It's a 360 deal. They got fucking, not only that, but they get access to your ticket sales, like straight up, like profit.
That's weird.
Well, it's all weird.
That was always where the musicians made money entirely theirs up until streaming, right? I mean, did people cut record labels in on any ticket sales before that?
No. In fact, it used to be set up where a tour was a loss leader to sell a record. Yeah. That's why you'd see bands like, I don't know, fucking huge bands in the 70s, Bad Company or whoever, they would sell fucking huge ass fucking stadiums for like $3 a ticket, maybe have a bunch of support, sell a couple million records, find out the manager stole all the fucking money, you know, write a memoir about it. That's like it's like the tale as old as time. You know, it's like I come from like an indie rock background, and it was just sort of like, and Dan does too. And it's like, you know, when we were coming up, it was like, even kind of having any knowledge of the business, it was like, it was considered uncool. Don't you think so? A little bit.
It's considered uncool to think about finances.
To kind of really know, like
like what you know now, what you just described, the way you broke it all down.
But we've always been fascinated by it, so I've always paid attention to it. But it's funny now when I'm just like realizing, you know, like what this whole we took a break off the road for 4 years, and when we came back 3 years after a break to make a record, it was like we had gleaned a lot of perspective, you know, and our conversations when we first started making this record, aside from like watching the news and talking about that and making each other laugh and shit, it was like, this band is something really fucking special. You know what I mean? The fact that we're sitting in this room, you know, 18 years after starting this band and it fucking working out, and we're fucking here, we need to make sure that this band is always something that's fun and not a burden and not stressful. It shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun. It's rock and roll. You know what I mean? And I think that we've been spending the last year figuring out how to make every decision so that way, you know. So like, for instance, this show, we were like, do you want to do this TV show? Like, no, we both watched Joe Rogan, listened to Joe Rogan. I happened to watch it. Well, we want to do Joe's podcast. You know what I mean? That's what we want to do. That's what's important to us. We don't want to play Woodstock. It's not important to us. It doesn't speak to us. These are the things we want to do. And taking that type of position with the band, and also looking at the business side of it and be like, this is fucking bullshit. This is ridiculous. You know, what this band should be giving us is the ability to help other bands, which is what we do all day long when we're not touring. I mean, in the last 5 years, Dan's produced probably like 15 albums for other artists. I've done a handful myself. He has a label, puts out other people's music. There's a lot of fucking work. When we're not touring, we're still working on other music. And the craziest thing is this. We've sold millions of records. We've made, between the two of us, something like 60 plus albums. When I finish a record I'm really proud of and I send it to Warner Brothers, the last time I did that, they didn't even fucking respond to the email. And when that shit happens to you, you know what you want to do? Tell them to fuck themselves. You know what I mean? And right now we're in a situation where our record contract's done. You know? And I saw what happened to my Uncle Ralph.
Do you need a contract now?
Fuck no.
It doesn't seem like you do.
But what we need is we need people to work with people who understand that the Black Keys is very important to us, but it's also a vehicle that we can leverage to help our other artists when we're producing shit. And it's so fucking infuriating to have been in this business for 20 years and honestly understand the business better than most fucking managers and be treated like dog shit by this person that you've made millions of dollars for. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't make any sense that you need anything like that. All you guys need to do is have studio fees, or if you have your own studio, produce the music, and then once people know your shit is out.
No, but it's different because it's different. We don't need shit, but if you take a new artist from Nashville, say, and you make a record for them,
okay,
they need an agent. They need to go on tour.
Right.
They need to do all the stuff that we did, but we were like malnourished freaks.
Right,
we were
losing money the whole time.
We were able to lose money because my rent was $145 when we started, and we practiced in my basement, and Dan lived in his parents' house. We could make like $200 a month and be in the red or in the black.
Wow.
So, but no one else is like that's not realistic.
No.
You know, so if you really want to,
well, here's what's realistic.
If you want to start, but if you want to help artists,
why isn't it realistic?
I mean, it's realistic.
Why is it more realistic to go get in $60,000 worth of debt and not be able to have a fucking job?
Well, I'm just saying that most bands aren't two pieces. Most bands aren't like human cockroaches. Like when we first started, Dan was like, I need wonton soup every day. That's what I need.
That's all I need.
$3.50. We go get a wonton soup. I need a pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
But yeah, you know, so you do need some financing.
But listen, you have the answer right in front of you. You're a great talker. If you just developed a podcast where you played new music and then talk shit the way you do now, it would be gigantic.
Maybe
if you just go on the road, just do Pat and Dan. You could call it Pat and Dan on the road, and you guys just do it from your tour bus or wherever. You just wind him up, let him talk shit about things, and then play music, like music that you really enjoy. If someone like Spotify wouldn't jump on something like that, they'd be crazy. It's a great idea, and you could use it as a platform to help artists avoid the system entirely.
I'm thinking that might work, but also
it would work, man.
If we just tweet at Mark Zuckerberg that we need $145 million,
he'd probably do it.
Probably do it.
Seems like a good deal. If someone wanted to do something like that, it's a great idea because you can use it to launch, like I've done with comics on this podcast. You find people that are funny, let everybody know. It's not hard. Yeah. Get a group of people that are really interesting. Keep the conversations going. Keep more cool people coming in, and then you can use that to help other cool people and let everybody know. You could do it through your social media. You do it through a podcast, and of course, you guys are still going to do the same stuff you're already doing with producing people and helping them out. But you definitely could have your own distribution network, but be ethical free, ethical quandaries free. Like you don't even have to think about it. You just give it to them for free. You just do it as a podcast to broadcast them. Hey, check out this fucking band. I love this. I love this song. Play it. Bam.
That would help a lot with like exposure to new music.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is,
they're going to need an agent to book shows.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, but I do think it is what I'm saying. The music industry, what is actually something that I think that I think we're trying to figure out now is basically how to actually really work again, truly independently. You know what I mean? Where it is something that we can figure out a way to actually do the things we're passionate about, which is a lot of it is making records and helping even to make a record and press it, you know, it's like it's at least $10,000. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I guess what I was trying to say was like you'd expect that someone would look at your work and respect it enough to kind of step in and help out, because it's not like you're asking for fucking millions of dollars a year to finance some shit. You're asking for like a couple $100,000. But that's the problem with the music industry is that certain labels are willing to give like a SoundCloud rapper like $15 million, you know, but then they look at a band and they can't quantify their metrics, like maybe the Black Keys or whoever, and they don't give us shit.
Help me out with this, because I don't understand it. What do they provide? What does a record company provide?
At this point to us, physical distribution, which is something that
physical distribution of like
vinyl.
LP vinyl.
Right.
That's crazy though. How much is that?
Yeah, but I mean,
is there a lot of people buying those?
No. I mean, for us, really, it isn't tons. There's some marketing, there's some stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, we get more from like Live Nation, probably. You know what I mean?
So what does a record company do then? Like if you're a young artist, they get you
they scare you.
distributed,
They scare you into handing over the shit that they need.
and then they sign you to a long-term contract. Is that how it works?
And then they pray you have a hit.
They pray you have a hit, and if you do and you want to leave, then you're fucked.
And then if you don't, if they don't think so, and they think that you want to leave, and you got 2 records left, they shelve that record until you go make another one. Yeah, that's what they do.
It just doesn't seem.
Dude, we had this guy.
It's a legacy business.
Check this out. We had this dude who was president of a label at one point. It got back to me that he was taking credit for our success. He wasn't even around when we broke. You know what I mean? And the credit he was taking was the most genius fucking credit. This is how smart these fucking people are. Is like he said, "Yeah, man, you know, I think I really take a lot of pride in that band and really help them a lot by just staying out of the way."
Ooh.
He didn't even write a check for tour support or no promotion. He's taking credit because he was smart enough not to fuck it up. You know what I mean? It's like I take personal credit, like at Bojangles Chicken, for them being successful, or the new Popeye's chicken sandwich. I take
Wouldn't you prefer
I take a lot
that?
of credit. I take a lot of credit though in that chicken sandwich, man, because I didn't buy one. I didn't fuck it up. I didn't like put the wrong post up.
But that's a way better attitude, at least a working attitude, than the guy from Peppertine who wants to fuck with the hi-hat. Wouldn't you prefer that guy who just gets the fuck out of the way? I would say I'll take that guy all day long.
If those are the 2 options, then yeah.
Yeah, he
absolutely,
gets it.
all day.
I mean, is he taking credit for it, or is he's kind of bragging that he works with you? He can't be taking credit for
I think
it.
there's a little credit, but I think
A little bit of credit?
A little bit of credit.
A little
dude.
annoying to you?
Dude, there's a lot of credit that gets taken for a lot of shit. Dude.
It seems like a fucking frustrating and infuriating business, and I'm glad I don't have to participate in.
Dude,
As comics, there's no business.
we're like in the fucking top 0.001% of this shit, and it's still fucking annoying every single fucking day. It's just like it's the trick to the music industry is because if you really love music like the way that Dan and I do, where it is still the thing that we're most passionate about. You know what I mean? Like I love music. I only think about music, listen to it all day. But yet you have to find that fine line where like you don't, when like you make a record you're really proud of and no one fucking hears it and no one that works with you even responds to an email about it, you have to find that space where you don't want to kill everybody. You know what I mean? And you still want to go make another record. And
do you need to be connected to someone like this, though? Is this a valuable thing in your world?
what?
To have this record company?
No.
Not right. So you can let all this go, right? And don't do it anymore.
No, the trick is to find out how to still learning as the industry changes is to learn how to pivot and have it make sense.
So the real problem is young talent that's just getting started that gets signed when they don't really know their worth yet, and they don't know how.
No, the problem is that no one is investing in fucking real bands. They're investing in like a songwriter. They're investing in an artist that was a puppet that like they can go and like say this person's going to listen to this,
right?
Do this shit. It's like a pop machine. You know
do you think that you could do it ethically? That you could do it your way?
Look, I think.
Do you have the time for something like that?
If I was to run a record label, the main difference would be that I would look at it as, let's try to fucking break even. Let's realize that some of the most important records here have never sold 1 million copies. Like the Ramones never sold 1 million copies of any of their records. They're maybe the most influential punk band. So let's redefine what success is. Success is getting behind art that we really are proud of and not getting trampled and getting the support that it needs.
This all seems doable, though.
Yeah, but then
what you're describing with you seems doable.
But then think about this. This is the problem. This is the crux. Is then you think about the Ramones and you realize this is a band that toured in a van for 20 fucking years. Do you want to subject the band to that? No, you want to be able to elevate that band to the point where they're actually doing that comfortably. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part. You know what I mean?
Can you, though?
I think
would they be the same band? Not always, right?
I think that you could, yes.
It's possible, dependent upon the individual.
Dude, that's why Metallica has these therapists, man. They're trying to figure out how to fucking figure out.
Don't you think that part of what you guys are is your background? When you were paying $125 a month for rent, and you were living with your parents. So this is part of why you guys were so good, because you fucking really wanted it. You needed it. You had to get to a better place.
We had no other option.
Yes, but I think there's something to that flavors the music.
I think that's what we do when we try to work with people. We see that same quality in other people.
So people have already been down that road.
Artists that I'm working with now, people like Yola and people like D. White and Early James, all these people, they're just ornery and they want it.
This is begging for an organization. Like your passion for this is so important.
We're already sort of doing it.
Dude, you guys should have a radio station or a podcast that just talks about these new albums and what's going on and what you're doing, and I'm sure people would fucking love it. And just play music. Play the music that you guys are producing. Play music that you enjoy, that you find out about. I mean, it seems like there's a real easy fix for this angst.
I don't think there is, because it's been going on for
You're
40
the Black
years.
Keys, but for you, there's a fix. At least there's a better path for some people.
The angst is important because it is.
It's valid.
We're also, by the way, not that angsty. But when I do talk about the business, I get a little angsty. But I'm a pretty chill individual, to be honest, most of the time. But when
the comedy business is so much easier. Oof.
Well, I mean,
we get to use that in our music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The drive is like the thing. It's like, when I found this photograph that I just hung up in my road case of Dan and I playing one of our first shows, I'm like, oh, this is important. I should make sure I have this hung up, because it just reminds me of all the fucking days that we spent like being fucking miserable in a van because we love music so much. We go play a show for fucking nobody and maybe make enough money to get like a Motel 6 room, share a bed, get up the next day and go to Waffle House and keep fucking doing it for years and years and years and years. But it does take that type of motivation, and it's frustrating when you do that and then you get to a point where it is the point that we're at and you feel like you've gotten really good at what you do, and you help another artist, and you realize that like after all that work, it's like the myth of Sisyphus. It's like, oh, after all that work, it doesn't move the fucking clock at all. Still, these same motherfuckers aren't fucking helping, And then you start realizing like what really has made a difference. I mean, I've heard people say, take credit for our success, say that it was because we played the Spike TV Video Game Awards, which about 8 people watched.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that made you.
But dude, that's the kind of thing that you're up against. Is like, and that's the fear of the music industry. That's the fear where it's like, and we said yes to everything because we were banned for like 8.5 years. And then finally we started breaking, and it was like for the first time, here's the offer for SNL. Here's the offer to headline Coachella. Here's the offer. We had to say yes to everything, even the Spike TV Video Game Awards, and especially when like someone's like, you really should do it. You really need to do it. In fact, if you don't do it, like
when we're standing there with Hulk Hogan. Backstage,
it was worth it. It's worth it for that,
right?
But the point is that what actually moves the needle? What actually moves the needle? I was like, is it playing Colbert? Is it playing these things? I was like, I don't fucking know, man, because I watch baseball, and then I put on your podcast, and then I go to bed. That's what I do in the evening. So I don't know who watches that shit, but I know my stepdaughter doesn't watch that shit. I know she doesn't even know how to work the fucking TV remote. She watches YouTube all day. I mean, the times are fucking changing, and I think that that's the hard part, is trying to pivot with it. And I think if it's like guys our age who are running these labels, looking at these view counts and the shit, and they're all fucking getting it wrong.
Well, they're getting it wrong because their business is money. Their business is not music. Yeah, they're in the music business to make money. You guys are in it to make music. That's why I'm saying, dude, you got to do it. You got to start your own thing. It's a fucking no-brainer. It's so easy for you to do. You're obviously a great talker. You're obviously very opinionated, and you have a great love for music.
Well, we're going to restart the BMG Music Group. It'll be called the TBK.
I like it.
TBK Music Club. And what we're gonna do is, you send us 38 cents, we'll send you 50 albums, and your parents will then write us a letter saying that you entered a contract as a minor and had to void it.
How do you guys write songs? Do you write them do you come to each other independently? Do you collaborate like only in studio? Do you write them in studio?
We've, for the most part, always just made them up, just improvised them.
Like in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
and then said you liked it. Let's try to put that down again.
We just sort of gravitate towards what we like, and then just start building on it. And all the stuff that doesn't work, just push it away and just keep going forward.
Do you have disagreements on what works or doesn't work when you're inventing
Not really.
it? No?
Not usually. It's always been like that ever since we were 16 and 17.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never really, I don't think, the older I get, the more I realize how special that is. You know, I always took it for granted. I mean, I remember when we were trying to audition bass players, we had this one guy try to come and play with us, and I just remember it just fucked everything up. It's like we couldn't even play, it didn't even sound like us.
Why?
It just didn't work. And then when this other person left, all of a sudden it sounded like a big band again.
Huh.
It was weird.
I mean, we learned to play together. I never even played. I never played drums with anybody aside from Dan. And me even playing drums in the band is like because it was a kind of an accident. I only had a drum set because I wanted to be a guitar player, and I wanted people to come to my house and play the drums with me. Before I had a driver's license, I got a job washing dishes and bought this drum set. I bought everything you need for a band, and like my friends would come over, and they were all pretty much better at guitar than me. But Dan came over, and he was like the best guitar player of all my friends, and I was like, fuck, what do I do, bass or drums? I was like, well, you can't just jam guitar and bass. I sat down at the drums, and that's what we did in high school. So we learned to play together, man. So because of that, there's like there is like a psychic kind of connection. You know, I mean, we play now on stage with a couple other guys, and it's good. It's easy. It's fun. But there is something when the two of us start playing where it is we can like work in between beats. You know, it's pretty liquid. Our goal has never been like to be this tight, kind of rigid, like you know what I mean? Like tightness isn't something. It's more about like the energy, the feeling. It's hard to describe, but it's like,
yeah, we never worried about if we got it perfect. It was always, is this the one that feels best? Always, most important.
Yeah.
Do you write the lyrics down? Do you write the music down? Like
Sometimes
once you made it up?
I'll write lyrics. Sometimes I'll improvise words. A lot of the new record was a lot of like improvising syllables and words.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's just no rules, absolutely no rules. But a lot of times I'll be singing a melody while I'm doing chord changes, but I can see Pat. You know, that's the thing that we've always done. We've always been able to see each other when we play and record. So, you know, and go with his movements and follow him that way.
So you guys just know each other so well. You can
well, you know,
see when he's turning.
we hadn't been in the studio together for 5.5 years, and we didn't do any pre-production or anything. And the very first idea that we had made the record.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's just
That's
a
a
thing
crazy,
we've had.
crazy connection.
Yeah, man.
That's so unusual.
It really is. The older I get, the more I realize that.
Well, you guys have been together for so long, and the thing with bands is like keeping it together.
This is my first band. It's our first. I was never in another. Like the Black Keys was like the first real band I was in.
Yeah, it's the first real band I've been in.
It's so crazy.
So I didn't know any different. I thought all bands felt like this. Do you know what I mean?
That's the saddest thing when you see bands and the lead guitar player is mad at the singer, and you know it's like, oh, guys, come on, really?
Yeah, it's always over some dumb shit. It's usually like someone's wife is like fucking mean. And
yeah, wasn't that what the David Lee Roth?
Hey,
Van
we've been
Halen
through
thing?
that shit, man.
We've been through it, man.
Yeah. Oof.
It's like it's hard. It's hard, you know. I mean, like, if I could go back in time and give like our 22-year-old selves one piece of advice, it would be like, don't tour with your girlfriends until you like have a kid and they can come out for a couple shows. Just avoid that shit. And also probably like don't really have a girlfriend until you're like in your late 20s probably.
What's the problem with touring with the girlfriend?
Dude, it's just a codependent motherfucker like me that it was just really hard. I had to get through. I've grown up a lot, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just hard. It's like the hard part is that I'm up for the work and Dan's up for the work. And when we're on tour, like I go through periods of time where I get phone calls, be like, "What the fuck are you doing, motherfucker?" You know, or you know, like I miss you, like that guilt, or it's just like I'm like literally in the back of a Ford Econo van, like with like a torn up copy of TV Guide, reading it for the 5th time because we don't have any money, no cell phone, or like with a Nokia phone, like I getting a guilt trip and stuff. It's like too real to even talk about. Our first tour, I remember Dan having to stop at the payphone every
Look at him laughing.
Dan'd be at the payphone every hour, and Mike would be like, I remember my brother Mike was with us. I'd be like, oh man, like, oh, sucks to be Dan. And then like literally like an hour later, it'd be like, I have to get to the payphone myself. Dumbasses, man.
But you have to go through that. You have to learn to appreciate a good relationship. You got to go through those. Where the fuck are your relationships?
You got to go through it. Yeah, but I mean that's the thing is like, it's what I guess what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Although I read somewhere that that's not actually true. It like
some shit kills
fucks your body up.
Yeah, some
pretty
shit
hard.
just takes the years off your life. Maybe it didn't kill you.
Yeah,
took a decade off your longevity.
You know, that's why we're able to get to this spot where here we are, 2019, and I don't think we're insane people. We're pretty close to the same people we were when we were in our 20s.
Still wearing some of the same T-shirts.
I'm not, because they're way too small for me now. But yeah, you know, I think that there's a time like maybe 2012, our shit was really blowing up. I mean, we could do no wrong, and there's an alternate universe for sure where we turned into complete dickheads.
An infinite number of
dickheads actually out there.
We died multiple times at the chateau.
It's like, yeah, in this version of reality, Dan and Patrick don't play the Spike TV video game awards. They overdose at the Chateau Marmont. Yeah.
I mean, you have to appreciate though that you guys have gone through quite the gauntlet. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I think that the best thing that ever happened to us is that we didn't experience success till our 6th album. And it is, because if we would have got that when we were 23, we would have never been able to sit down and realize what fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And
everything about us has been just sort of
ridiculously synchronistic.
Yeah, but it's also that kind of luck and timing and
right. But that's where the simulation comes in, bro.
I think that's just where I think that's just where like the uniqueness and the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing about life is that it is certain things are rare. It shouldn't be that crazy that a relationship like Dan and I's is so rare, but it is.
Right.
There aren't that many of them.
Right.
You know? I mean, there are a lot of like friends who start off playing music, but they end up, most of those stories end like in either just failure, giving up, hating each other, or some shit version of that.
Yeah.
So that, but yeah, the simulation. I mean, dude, the simulation. There has to be a simulator to play the simulation on, and that's the problem.
It could just be we're confused about what reality is in general. It might be the reason why we think it's a simulation is because it exists in so many different planes, and it's probably always shifting all around us all the time, and some of the way you think does have some effect on the world itself.
Well, I used to wake up in the morning and like drink a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, play a video game, jam on my drums, drive around, hang out with my friends. Now I wake up and I do so much shit, and none of it is necessarily stuff I want to be doing. That I do think that there's no way we're in a simulation, because I would never fucking have simulated that.
But you don't get to choose.
Well,
you go through.
Why am I?
And then
I need to bounce over. I'm trying.
There's rules to it.
Quantum
but I mean,
leap.
if you just decided that it was a simulation, you said, "Well, I don't like this course. I want to shift some things about it." It would probably be easier to do if you knew it was a simulation than it would be to shift them in your own life. If you're like, I'm doing too many things, I'm just going to take these. I'm going to phase these out and piss these people off.
Yeah, no, that's why I think we're not living in a simulation, because every time I do make a decision to change something, it gets better. But if I ever,
so you're learning and growing in real time.
Yeah, in real time.
I mean, it might be.
I'm telling you, the biggest argument against the simulation, I'm telling you, is that Elon Musk married the same woman twice.
Yes.
Straight up.
But why not?
Send it to
Maybe
your
it's a-
send it
it's
to your
weird.
quantum physicist. Send it to him. Just say like my dude has this theory.
I'm gonna send it to Sean Carroll.
Yeah, send it to him.
See what he can do with
Tell
it.
him to crack the numbers on that shit.
Yeah.
There's 3.5 billion women on Earth, and this guy married the same person twice.
They stayed in the same
think about
social
that.
circle.
Think about that, dude.
She's probably a wonderful woman.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying it.
Maybe he missed her. You know?
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. But hey, I don't know
That's like
her. Maybe
the
she's
kind of
amazing.
shit. That's like when you look at like. I mean, I've been married 3 times, like a dickhead. But it's like if you go. I was saying, if you look at my Wikipedia, it's like I always joke. I'm like, oh, I had to get to wife number 3 just so I could like have that like kind of Vince Neil fucking Wikipedia page. But it is like guys like that, Vince Neil, where you look at like, oh, he's married the same woman from 84 to 85, back 88 to 89, back again.
Yeah.
Like who does that
He's
shit?
romantic. He likes to drink.
Larry King does that shit.
Yeah, Larry King. He just got divorced again at 85.
I saw him last
Yeah,
night.
we saw him last night.
Is he partying? Bunch of chicks?
He
big
was,
booties,
actually. He
Drinking
was with-
champagne?
it was the party in his honor.
He looked very. He looked very old, like
Yeah, he's an
my
old
grandfather.
fella.
Yeah.
He doesn't look that healthy. Like his posture is not that
No,
not that robust.
it's that way.
Yeah.
It's that thing where you get to that age and you just have to like you get forced to just drink Slim Fast all the fucking day.
It's a bummer to think
Yeah.
that someone's getting divorced at 85. But then part of me goes, well, is it more of a bummer to be in a terrible relationship when you're 85? It's probably a better relief. Like if you're fucking throwing in the towel at 85, you're done. I mean, you're like, look,
You're really done.
I'm so tired and I can't.
Dude, there's it's just. Oh, I can't even
I'm
think about it.
Done at 85 to go through all that shit.
all the work it takes just
I
to
just
go
want
through
to
a
be
divorce
there
at 85.
when
Dude,
he
that's
goes
actually-
to the ocean and just chucks his cell phone in. Fuck you. Splash. Whole new phone, new carrier. Fuck you, ghoster.
All right. What if he marries her again next
I hope
year?
he does. I hope he marries her again
No,
tomorrow.
but I could say that would. I
No
could-
prenup either.
I could see how he might marry a previous wife, if she was going to take care of him in his last couple of years, and they were close still.
Yeah.
Maybe that would make sense.
Richard
maybe.
Pryor had that going on. Towards
Yeah.
the end of his life, he was being taken care of by one of his previous wives.
Yeah, I could see that. That's sweet. That's kind of like a.
Pretty
some sort
sure.
of- that's like an Oprah bestseller type.
It was definitely
thing.
one of his wives. I might have fucked that story up. Definitely one of his wives.
Hey, I'm
took
just
care
gonna
of him.
believe it the way you told it because I prefer it that way.
Yeah,
And, you know,
I like it that way better.
in some simulation, it is that way.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way of getting away with some sort of facts. Like, what if Troll 1 was part of Troll 2? I'd be like, oh shit, in a different dimension.
Right. Well, Troll 2 is like almost evidence of something wrong. Like the simulation has been like there's a problem in the record.
That's
They put out a terrible movie, yeah, and forgot they didn't put out the prequel.
Do you know who Harmony Korine? He wrote the movie Kids and Spring Breakers. He directed.
Oh, wow.
He's friends of ours, and he was telling me this thing that blew my mind. Like 5 years ago, he's like, "There's this movie called The Peanut Butter Solution. Have you ever heard of it?"
No.
He's like, "Dude," he's like, "everyone who watched this movie as a kid, it was made and aired on TV in Canada." He's like, "Go look at the YouTube comments. It's crazy." And I went and looked, and all the comments were the same. Like, "Oh my God, I watched this as a kid and I forgot the whole thing. I just now remembering it." Every comment was that way. He's like, "Dude, it was like mass hypnosis the way it was edited. It's like that it kind of created everyone to like forget that they were watching, that they saw it." And maybe there is a Troll 1.
They just took it
Everyone
away.
fucking forgot it. Just took it
There-
away.
there
No
were-
one
oh, you know what it was? It was Troll Hunter. That's what it was.
I was going to bring that up. That came out in 2010, though.
Yes, that's the movie I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the schlocky movie.
Yeah.
Pull that up. That's what I was thinking.
It's
of.
probably inspired by Troll 2.
Troll Hunter was these guys that were like trying to find these trolls. And then, it was just like just at the point in time before drones were effective. You kind of bought in that there was no aerial way of finding this thing, that you had to wait for it to pop out of the woods.
And it's like a found footage movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Found footage, but with special effects of a giant troll that comes out of the forest as tall as the trees. And it's
That's
so
cool.
stupid. It might be better
Here's a trailer.
than that other terrible movie because it's silly. Yeah, here's the trailer. So these people are like, well, God, we're going to find it. So revealing. Dun, 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 dun. Get to the troll, bro. Where is it? Is that it? Yeah, there it is. See, it was giant. chasing these fucking. Oh no, Jesus! Look at it. There it is. Oh shit. See, so it's like found footage, but with special effects. Fun fucking stupid movie. You know, like you're never really scared that someone is going to die because none of them are real people in your mind. Yeah. It's not that kind of movie.
Nice.
It's like they could do whatever they want to those people. So that was what I remembered. I just couldn't. So maybe that was it. Maybe that was Troll 2. But those were little trolls.
Troll 2 is no, they're like human sized. But
yeah. Okay. So not like.
I mean, it's really incredible film. The first half of it, the rest of it, I would not recommend it. Actually, Dan's brother, like it all takes place in this town called Nilbog, which is even one of the best parts. Is that it takes place in a town called Nilbog, and the little kid like sees the sign in the rear view mirror, like Nilbog is goblin backwards. So it's actually about Troll 2 is about goblins. So Dan's brother had the personalized plate, Ohio plate that said Nilbog.
So, yeah, my brother Jeff in high school.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
But through the rear view mirror, man, it said goblin. Pretty genius.
That is very smart. I mean, if you need that in your life, you need to be tricking people with words. That's the way to do it. If you're all about goblins, it's a weird thing to fixate on.
It's weird.
My brother's strange character.
Very strange.
You know, they have those new plates. They're like digital plates. And then if someone steals your car, it just says stolen.
That's cool.
It's weird, though. They're like a screen that projects the numbers and the letters.
Weird.
Yeah.
Could you hack into that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, they could track you. Like, for sure, they're tracking you. Because if it gets stolen, then they know exactly where it is.
Dude, that's my favorite thing on earth is when someone, like, unfollows you on Instagram. Like, oh, shit, my phone was hacked. Or the amount of phone hacking is going on.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that... There was a woman who worked for CNBC who said her website was hacked. She wrote a bunch of homophobic shit back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. When people say their account was hacked, like that's what all they did. Yeah. They didn't go in there and push Russian websites that, you know, sell sex dolls. No. They went in there and just edited a few things to make you look like a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they did to Jack when they hacked his Twitter account.
Oh, but they did do that to Jack. But the Jack was a bunch of racist shit. Imagine if Jack was just fucking with people and he's like, watch this. I'm going to say my account was hacked. And I'm just going to get fucking crazy. Like, Jack is probably like those cops that want to kill people after a while. He's so fed up with the system and censoring people and just all these people getting deplatformed that he wants to just jump on and drop N-bombs. And then he just... Imagine it was an inside plot. Like, he just decides, look, I'm going to hack myself just so I can say the most ridiculous shit. Because no one's been arrested, right?
I don't think so.
No, see, if you were going to hack the CEO of the biggest fucking social media platform in the world, wouldn't you think there'd be a goddamn ruthless investigation? Yeah. They would send the Mossad after those kids. Like, who did it? Who dropped the N-bomb on Jack's Twitter page? They would find that person.
Yeah, it's like...
It'd be worth $1 million. They'd hunt them down.
It's the playbook for step number one. Just my account was hacked.
Yeah, it's the move.
I like it when like literally it's like people that like I just hang out with at the bar say that. It's like, what the fuck? Shit wasn't hacked.
Yeah,
shit wasn't hacked.
I did get my Gmail account stolen once. That did happen. I was like, wow, someone can do that. They just steal your Gmail.
Dude, I got 65,000 emails, unread emails in my account. I'd like love for someone to hack into that shit. There's nothing interesting in it.
Parse them out for me.
All my emails are cool, period. Sounds good, period. Sitting around writing thoughtful ass emails. That is not me. I don't have time for that shit. Being thoughtful. Call you on the phone if I need to. Oh my God. Yeah, my shit was hacked and...
What did they do with it?
No, my shit wasn't hacked.
I know. I was playing along with it.
What would they do with it?
What did they do? They hacked in your... Was it your Twitter? What was it?
They hacked in there and they found a direct message to you asking if we could be on the show.
Did they say some fucked up shit about corn?
Yeah. It says... Dude, when I got in my last Twitter... Well, I've had 2 Twitter incidents. One was with Justin Bieber. And one was early on, I tweeted like... In like 2010, I tweeted like something so stupid, not even funny. Like Madonna's crushing... We were on a tour bus and like we'd drive into a show and SNL was on. I said, oh, Madonna's crushing it on SNL. and it was Lady Gaga. That was the fucking joke. But a year later, it wasn't even like funny, and she wasn't like that famous or anything.
I would have laughed. That's funny.
Well, a year later, some like Gaga monster found it and was like, you know, go kill yourself. And I think I was one of the first people to maybe take this tactic. I started just retweeting the most vile shit that was like, you're a fucking asshole, kill yourself. And I just retweeted it, and it was like, once again, right with the top, this like before, it was like the thing before the Me Too was the bullying thing. Don't stop bullying. And it was just like, these people were just like fucking crushing me on there. And that's when I started being like, fuck Twitter, man. Like, fuck it. Like,
well, people will also say that you're bullying if you retweet it because you're sicking your Twitter mob on them.
yeah, but like you could spin anything however you want to do it. But my Twitter mob was like fucking, at the time, was like 3,000 people in Ohio. It was more of a militia. Yeah.
Elks Lodge.
Yeah, but then, you know, the Justin Bieber thing happened, and it was like, I realized at that point, like, it's a real, like, these are all kids. A lot of these people are just fucking idiots. Like, you shouldn't.
Like you would be if you were 13.
Yeah, if I was 13 and was like spout off anything, like all these kids like are gonna at some point get a job at a corporation. Someone's gonna go through their shit deep and like get called into the office. And
but you see what's happening with Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada?
Yeah.
They found brown face. So he was he's dressed in a costume.
How did they find all three of them the same fucking day?
Well, someone was searching for some shit, you know. I mean, but he was in a costume in 1981, and we're upset. We really, people have real tweets were saying that he should be horrified by this racism. Like, is he just in a costume? Because it seems like he's just in a costume pretending he's an Arabian guy. Is that really racist?
It's called Arabian Nights.
Yeah. Maybe
party.
It's insensitive now, today, but in 1981, guess what? No one cared.
Dude, in 1981, one of the biggest films, I think, or not biggest, but a big film was Silver Streak. My brother, Will, older brother, is obsessed with trains. In fact, he works for Amtrak now. But in that movie, there's a scene where Gene Wilder has to put on blackface.
Yes.
And, you know, that, of course, would never go on now. And I can see how somebody might offended. But at the time, when I saw that for the first time when I was 6 or 7, like, you know, that was a different time.
Do you remember C. Thomas Howell, Soul Man? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
That was like in the 90s. He played a guy who pretended to be black to go to a certain school. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I remember
this happened
vaguely.
in 2001, though, not in 1981, just to clarify.
Which one did?
Justin Trudeau stuff. He was only 10 in 1981.
Yeah. Oh, it happened in 2000?
Yeah. It was 18 years ago.
Oh.
That's a little different.
still-
That's a little different.
It's a little different. Why did I say it was 81? Where did I hear it was 81? Maybe I just repeated dumb numbers. But what?
I don't know, man. I've never worn blackface, and I sure as fuck would remember it if I'd ever put it on. That's why everyone's like, I don't remember that.
Pull up that movie Soul Man.
What?
C. Thomas Howell.
Who was it that said they couldn't remember wearing it? Someone that got in trouble, the person before.
Oh, yeah. Who was that? That was like a senator?
It's somebody from Kentucky. I don't know, man. I can tell you everything I was for Halloween. I was Orville Redenbacher recently.
This is C. Thomas Howell, and that's when he's the white guy. And I forget what exactly it was.
Took some tanning pills to get into school.
Is that what it was? He took tanning pills?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. To get into a school, he took tanning pills?
It might have been like Harvard. It was some college or something like that.
Oh, okay. So, and then screwed ahead to when he turns into a black fellow. And all of a sudden,
did you
bam,
see
like here it is.
Did you see what he was talking into?
What was he talking into?
A noose.
Oh, Jesus. So he's going to kill himself because he took too many tanning pills?
Probably because he couldn't get into college. His future was
Oh,
over.
right.
Poor
So
guy.
he took the tanning pills to get in. Go to the picture of
I
him.
thought he was looking in the mirror.
But imagine if you decided you were going to make
Holy
this movie
shit.
today.
Jesus.
Imagine if you were going to make this movie today. Oh, my God. They would hang you.
Is that Julia?
This was like a harmless movie.
It was.
In 1990, whatever it was when this movie came out, this was an absolutely harmless movie that nobody protested about. Nobody cared. It was really obvious what was going on. It was not a great movie, but nobody cared. Imagine if you put that movie out today.
Dude.
Oh my God. And
You know what I was thinking about the other day? I was thinking about how fucking insane Doogie Howser is. I was like, if I was fucking sick and a 12-year-old walked in the fucking office, like, seriously.
that's right. He was a
Dude,
doctor.
he's a
at 12.
fucking 12-year-old doctor. I mean, get the fuck out of here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. But
What kind of doctor was he?
Dude, I don't know. But then I realized something. I was like, this. Not only was he a doctor, but like every night after the day, he would sit down at his computer
Do his journal.
and do his journal, which is I know for a fact that, like, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that the whole basis of Sex in the City is based off of that.
On Doogie
it's
Howser.
Doogie Howser. I think that they are connected. You know how like they say that Family Matters is a spinoff of
South Park.
Perfect
Or The
Strangers.
Simpsons.
Perfect Strangers.
Really?
Perfect Strangers.
It was the elevator doorman or
Why was I
something
just
real strange.
rattling off different cartoons?
Perfect Strangers is supposed to take place in the same universe as Family Matters, but I do think Sex in the City takes place in the same universe as Doogie Howser. And maybe if you think of what's that guy that she's always trying to date? That just
Mr. Big?
maybe Mr. Big's Doogie Howser as an adult. Yeah,
Never know.
never know.
I never connected those two. I don't think I ever watched an episode of Doogie Howser. And I've only reluctantly watched an episode of
We're a
Sex
cou-
in the City because
I'm
a
a
friend
cou-
was on it.
A couple of years younger than you, so we were subjected to that shit. But now kids don't even watch it. There were 3 channels when we were kids.
Yeah, kids barely watch TV anymore. What is it? He was a second-year resident surgeon. Second year. He'd been cutting into people for a year already. Oh, my God.
Dude.
Yeah, kids today are not listening. They are rather not watching anything. They're watching things on their computer and they're watching things on their phone. They think that somewhere around 50% of what you're getting on Netflix these days, kids are watching on their phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
man.
YouTube's a big one too. Did you say that this podcast, most of it people watch on the phone?
60%.
60% on the phone. And now they have phones like the Galaxy Note 10 is just all screen device. You know, you can actually enjoy it. You can watch something at 6.8 inches. It's like a little TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
we
weird.
all had that. I mean,
They're watching movies on those.
being on
Just-
tour, being on the bus, it's amazing. Really, to be honest.
It is incredible.
But
When you guys tour, do you always go bus to bus, city to city? Or do you fly city to city, or do you just always do the bus thing?
Here's the thing about touring is, like, let's say Dan walks in, it's like, man, I fucking hate the fucking bus. What happens is typically a manager says, oh, you don't need to fucking, you just fucking fly private, dude. You hub out of Jackson Hole on the West Coast, dude. Yeah, it's fucking great. The thing is that the manager's still getting the same cut of whatever you're making. You're just spending all of your cash. Like, the most genius thing you can do in the music business, if you're music business if you're a manager or business manager, is to get your client to spend all their money, because they just have to work more, and your shit comes off the top. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
you're playing 3-dimensional music business chess at all
it's
times.
like, yeah, dude.
It's
Dude,
kinda
you need a
creepy.
personal chef and a trainer and everything. Yeah,
Buy a
yeah.
mansion.
Yeah, buy a mansion
Get
in
a
each
Ferrari.
city. What up?
They
Buy
want
a
you to go off.
crash a Ferrari on stage every night, Dan.
You used to be like Ted Nugent. Get a buffalo. Ride it on stage. You need the
Dude,
buffalo.
I have a buffalo head in my house that Ted Nugent
Gave you?
gave to Michelle.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's huge.
68. He killed it in 68.
Really? 1968?
That's what he told. Michelle's brother was his drum tech for a
No
while.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's a good way to end this podcast. Let's end it with that.
Classic.
Dude, we did like 3.5 hours.
Jesus.
It's 3:30.
Damn.
I'm telling you,
I had
you
to piss
need
like
to
3
do
times.
This. You need to do this. You need to do your own, 100%. And I think it could serve a great function.
We'll
It's
just
so
how-
easy to do, man.
We'll just come on here again.
Anytime you want, but it's
Okay.
so easy for you to do your own. I mean, you can get one of those little fucking Zoom. Is this a Zoom mic, right? Sure. Is that it? Or Shure makes them. Like a bunch of different
They
companies
probably
make
already
these.
have the equipment.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And just get on the bus, and with the ambient sound and everything, it would actually be kind of cool to hear that and just talk shit. And dude, people would fucking love it. And you could have that be like the interstitial in between great songs that you love.
I'm not opposed. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's.
We've talked about it.
I think it's an amazing idea.
Yeah. Let's get a photo, boys.
Cheese.
Yeah, man.
All right. You're going to do it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Amazing.